All right. Hey, Star Wars fans and Rule the Galaxy fans. It's another one of those episodes. It's me and Jakejames Lugo here. It's D-Doc,
Yeah.
your host. Let's go. Let's go.
Yes. It's
I'm amped
happening
up.
again.
I'm amped up, man. I'm jacked up. I mean, as always, I've always been following JJ's content. Jakejames Lugo is here. He's master Star Wars, master video game reviewer. He makes all kinds of content. You can find him at Jakejames Lugo on any platform.
Thank you.
JJ, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good, man. Clearly, a couple things that coming out of that introduction, which I appreciate. I thank you very much. But a couple things come out of it. Number one, I got a leg up on Anakin Skywalker because I've been granted the rank of master. Literally, I have the ring to prove it. So I'm sorry, Anakin. I'm sorry, Hayden. I'm already like one up on you.
Dude, I love it.
Number one. Number two, yeah, I'm doing okay. I've been doing a lot. I don't know, again, if you've been following a lot of my stuff, but I don't know if you saw everything, but there's been a lot of places that I've been on as far as being a guest / being a person that's involved with, as far as different shows, podcasts, live threads or live talks on Twitter or X. And yeah, a lot of other content I've been publishing on my channel, on TikTok, all over the place, writing. Literally, I had stuff go up earlier this morning about Spider-Man that was over on .esports. So I've been cooking over here. I've been doing a lot of things.
You have been, man. I mean, you're all over the place, and it's like I'm seeing your articles for .esports, seeing your articles for Clownfish. You've been on with IGN and Spaces, man. You're cooking. You're cooking big time, right?
Yeah, literally.
You're in the kitchen. You're living.
For anybody that doesn't know what Dave's talking about, I was on the IGN Live Spaces, the official IGN Live Spaces, to talk about Ahsoka for a couple episodes, including the season finale recently over on Twitter or X. You know, that they did. It's basically a live stream that's also like a podcast that gets recorded and shared on the official IGN Live account. So it's, if you haven't checked it out, it's still up there now. I've shared it a couple times, but it's up there on IGN for you guys to check it out.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's what the one day I was just randomly on Twitter, which I feel like I can't get out of my mind. I feel like I'm going to call it Twitter forever. I feel like I can't replace it with
I don't call it X.
Yeah.
Nobody's calling it X. Like,
yeah.
I felt like Elon Musk was trying to be cool, and he is definitely not being cool with that. Like, that is just not working.
Like, the name can be X on, you can have it be X on everything, whatever, it looks cool, but everyone's just going to call it Twitter forever, essentially.
Yeah, for real. Like, it's ingrained.
Yeah. But one day I was on there and I was like, wait a second, JJ's in a space right now. And I'm like, wait, that's IGN's. I'm like, that's IGN's main site.
Yeah.
Like, let's
you
go.
Caught that one. He was like, whoa, wait a second. What? Yeah. And then I didn't do it just once. I didn't do it just twice. I did it a number of times.
Yeah.
Which again, so just to show everybody out here in the Star Wars community, I'm trying to do a lot of things. So be on the lookout. Just look, come say hi, come support, come check it out. Because I'm not just trying to be there for the sake of being there. I'm trying to actually do stuff that's relevant, that's important. It's actually going to give something to the audience, whenever I'm involved with something.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, since the last time we've had you on, and we're gonna hit a bunch of stuff tonight for anyone listening. Like, I'm thinking we're gonna start with Ahsoka, but like JJ's had some stuff that he's been working on that I would like to touch on. And anytime me and you are on the podcast together and we do these episodes, it turns into Star Wars talk, Marvel talk, DC, movies in general. I know you saw a movie last night that I know you can't obviously go into detail.
No, I can't actually, because there's no embargo. The review embargo and stuff is up. So for the movie he's talking about, everyone that's listening to the podcast, I got to see an early screening for Killers of the Flower Moon over at the Cinemark Theater. I actually went with my sponsor, Flynn's. They actually got me access to go see it, which they normally do with a lot of the big movies that come out. And I got to see it a couple days early before release.
Yeah. What now? Like, I don't want to spoil any articles you might write about it, and I don't want to obviously spoil the movie for myself because I'm looking forward to this. I mean, it's Scorsese, it's
Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah. Does it live up to the names that are in that movie, would you say? Like, off of like a rough rating of it? Were you entertained by it?
Overall, because I've talked about it on TikTok, luckily. So if you want a more detailed thing, it's definitely a video I have on my TikTok page that goes more into detail it. But overall, Killers of the Flower Moon is an interesting movie. It's definitely got a lot of high caliber actors in it, including Leo DiCaprio, Lily Gladstone, Robert De Niro. Surprisingly, you get Brendan Fraser in there, who just shows up. Randomly is like, what the heck is Brendan Fraser doing over here? And he's actually really good And then there's other actors in there that you're going to be very surprised that they actually have parts in there, which is pretty cool. But the story that it tells is very heavy-handed. It's very serious stuff. It borderline will rub people the wrong way in some cases. And I don't mean just the whole Native American and Western white was it racism type of thing. I mean, like, actually much more serious, much more kind of, heavy-handed subject matter that you will not expect coming. But it has to deal with history, it has to deal with the I believe it's 1930s or 1940s of when was it the I think it's the Oshawa Native Americans discovered oil, and there was a bunch of murders that happened within that area. I believe it was Minnesota. I want to say I can't remember the exact state where it takes place in, but it's based on a real story, but it's a little exaggerated, and there's a lot of stuff that happens.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that sounds good to me. I mean, I like learning anything history wise in movies and everything. And I'm an audiobook guy, and I was considering getting that audiobook, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait for the film and just not
Watch the
spoil
movie.
it for myself, and then maybe I'll do the audiobook after. So
You're like me when it comes with audiobooks, because I've actually been listening to a lot of different Star Wars audiobooks, like some real classics. Like I got the 30th, I think it's the 20th or 30th anniversary of Heir to the Empire that I did recently, and also the Darth Plagueis novel.
oh
I've
yeah,
been getting those audiobooks on Audible, which has been nice.
dude, the Plagueis novel on Audible
Awesome.
is excellent, man.
Amazing. That voice acting, that should be a voice actor for Plagueis in an animated form.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I can hear his voice right now. I mean, I've done some Star Wars audio books, and I could absolutely do more, but Plagueis stands out so much to
It's
me. It's
really
just,
good.
yeah, it
Some of
was
the
one
best
where
acted,
yeah,
honestly.
I was lost in that. I was lost in that story, man. I really was. It's really what made me be like, holy crap, why are they not making this into a movie? And Brent said Mark Thompson. I don't think Mark Thompson does Plagueis, Brent.
I don't remember who it is, but
I
I
think it's
know
someone
that he
different.
does the voices and he does the narration. He does pretty much everything in there. What I do like about some audiobooks is when they get multiple voice actors for different parts. Like there should be a voice actor for the narrator and then voice actors for all the characters. I know it's more expensive for them to do it, but it makes it so much better. But
Oh
there
yeah.
are some audiobooks where just the narration of it and everything is just on point. And Plagueis is like a perfect example of that.
Absolutely. That's why I'm trying to scroll my Audible right now and see who did the voice acting
Yeah,
for
it'll
it.
definitely say it in the description,
It
but
might be too.
that one was pretty good. Again, Heir to the Empire. I'm getting the other two original Thrawn trilogy audiobooks because those are also good. Just they're all done by the same people and stuff. But eventually, I want to get Dooku Jedi Lost because I saw it there too, and that one has multiple voice actors, and
Yeah.
it's not as long as the Plagueis one. But I want to get it because it's just it's a Legends novel slash Star Wars novel that I want to listen to. I just want to get the story, even though I know again a lot of people prefer the written format. I just like the audiobooks in my opinion.
Yeah, same. I mean, and that's how it is for me. It's like because for me, I can go do something else. I could be working, I do like contractor work. I could be doing like a bathroom renovation and just be
Yeah,
locked into a story. Like I just
same
recently,
thing with me. Exactly.
I never did the Hunger Games books, and I
Mm.
just recently did the audio books of them. I never even saw the movies. I don't know why. I just
Well, you got to
never.
watch the movies. I like the
Yeah,
movies. They're pretty
Hunger
good.
Games just wasn't a thing for me, and it's like I did the audiobooks, man, and I knocked those out quick because
Mm.
you can just get lost in it. It was Daniel Davis who narrated Darth Plagueis.
Okay, so
Daniel Davis.
Daniel Davis is awesome. He should be the voice of Plagueis,
Yeah.
just straight up.
Yeah, and that's a 15-hour book, basically 14
Yeah.
hours and 45 minutes.
So
But
like a
that was
week, you
one
can
where
knock
you'll
that
get
out in like a
lost in it.
week when you're doing
Yeah,
things and listening to it.
exactly. Exactly, man. Plagueis. I love it. That's one I'd go back and listen to again. They need to make a movie about that.
They need to make a mini series of that. That'll be an
Yeah.
amazing mini series, like on Disney Plus. I'd be down with that. What up, Diamond Figs? I see Diamond Figs in there. I see him in
Diamond
the
Figs.
chat because me and Diamond Figs were just on Star Wars Theory stream the what was it like yesterday? Like
See, I
randomly.
still need to peep in on that and see you in that
I was
stream.
on there for a very brief time because he did this thing where he just dropped the link in there on Twitter. So as soon as I saw it, I jumped in on it because I want to get him to try to have me as a guest host to do one of his podcasts, so we could just talk Star Wars games and stuff. Because I feel like me and him could have a fun convo.
Oh yeah, I'd be in on listening to that one, man. Absolutely. Well, as we're here just chopping it up, let's hear your give me big overview thoughts of Ahsoka, and then we'll go into details. What do you think about the show overall?
Sure. So first things first. Hey, Star Wars Sith. I see you lurking in the chat. I don't think we didn't catch you. He was also in that stream, by the way. But anyway, Ahsoka. So I did reviews of Ahsoka. I did the premiere a review. I did the first 2 episodes. Then I did the finale, and then I did a talk about it on IGN's live chats. Okay, the live discussion. But my overall thoughts about Ahsoka is that it's a good show as far as following it. I thought that it was fun to watch it. It was fun to check it out every single week whenever there was a new episode dropping. It got a big conversation started with a lot of people for many different reasons, whether you were a prequels fan, a Clone Wars fan, you're a new fan of was it newer Star Wars stuff? Everybody was in on it, which is what we want to see when it comes to a Star Wars project, let alone a Star Wars show that's syndicated every single week. The only problems that I had with Ahsoka, personally for me, number one, I didn't like the ending of the season finale. I feel like a lot of people felt very like we're kind of like in a very indifferent place with it, which is exactly what I told everybody else when I talked about it. But also, this better lead into Dave Filoni's movie. Like that has to be resolved, or whatever that we had there needs to be resolved in that movie or in whatever season 2 of Ahsoka is going to be, because this is definitely going to get a season 2. This can't just get left like that. If Disney and Lucasfilm was smart, they would capitalize on it and then try to get away from some of the other stuff, because this clearly was working for everybody every single week compared to other Disney Plus shows that were Star Wars related.
Yeah, no, I agree. And for those fans who might not know who Ezra and Hera were, or Sabine, like, it's a good intro to them. For the fans who may have not watched any of the animated series, but still watch live action. Because I know plenty of people still who will just be like, I won't watch animated shows.
And they're lost. They're foolish, because those I'll tell you right now, even the Bad Batch season 2, like, so they got some stuff in there that's some of the best Star Wars storytelling lately. Because I mean, if you want to talk about a political Star Wars episode, go look at the episode that was the 2-parter of the Bad Batch season 2 that talked all about what the clones were going to do after Order 66, and like what the Republic or the Empire at that point was going to do with the clones. Like, there's good stories there with the anime stuff, especially Clone Wars, especially Rebels. Rebels has some fun stuff. A lot of people get caught up on how many episodes and seasons there are of this stuff, but I think that they just need to just kind of like suck it up and just look at this stuff and just see what's there and see how they roll with it, because there's going to be good and bad episodes like any other show. It's just that you can't just dismiss it because it's animated, thinking it's just a kid show that's not going to offer something.
Yeah. Those animated shows, it's like, for me, it's like jumping in a pool where you think the water is going to be a little cold. And, you hop in there and then you're like, all right, hold on. I'm settling in here. I'm getting used to this now. This is Star Wars. Like, it's like, what do we got here? We got a comment real quick. I'm just going to, oh, geez, never mind.
What up, Star Wars Sith? I see him lurking in there. I see Brent Dykman. That's goofing. He's over there talking about stuff. What did I review of Starfield? I did a whole review of Starfield, which was pretty cool. Starfield, I had a lot to say about it. I gave it a 7 out of 10 on Clownfish when I did the written review, but there was a lot of bugs and stuff in that game that I feel like, even though I played like over 30 plus hours of it and stuff, it just had all these other technical issues that prevented it from being like a 10 for me personally.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Starfield, I still have yet to play that too.
Yeah, well, you got games coming soon.
Dude,
Next 2 days, you got two big ones dropping. Got Spider-Man 2 and you got Super Mario Wonder.
Yeah, dude, I can't keep up with this right now. It's absolutely crazy. But with Ahsoka, I definitely feel some of your points, and it's funny for me because one thing about Ahsoka is we were doing a live stream where we were actually watching it live.
Yeah,
and we were doing our live reactions to everything, and then we would go right into the podcast after, which it was something new we did, and it was fun.
That's cool.
But I wasn't on the podcast last week, and it gave me a chance to simmer on the show a little bit. And it's like, to me, overall, I really did enjoy the show. I think it hit great. I think it hit better than a decent amount of Star Wars shows. Agreed. But when it comes to the future, that's what I just hope for. And like you're saying, like, I need to know that this is going to continue, because Disney's in a weird spot with, like, you don't know what they're going to be giving the axe to. Like, they're pretty ruthless with stuff right now. I mean,
I don't even think
Willow, they got rid of that show.
Honestly, I think right now, like in this current point of time, I think we're just in a very weird and awkward spot with Star Wars as a franchise. So when we get a W, I mean, it's a good thing to hold on to. Like, obviously with Ahsoka, it was those episodes that were very much fan service, but good fan service with Anakin that was going on. The stuff, obviously, for the Rebels fans with Ezra, with Hera, with was it Sabine, and all that stuff. All that stuff is great, and it's a feel good moment for fans of the franchise, because we've had a lot of divisive stuff with Star Wars over the last couple of years. Like even with the conversations about certain shows, like obviously Andor, like that's been even a thing over the last few days, in the wake of Ahsoka and stuff.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just been a very weird, awkward time for this. So I'm hoping that people right now at Lucasfilm, especially with Dave being there, with John being there, they have a lot of the foresight, and at least the know-how to capitalize on what was good about this stuff, like what worked and why is it that so many people got on board with Ahsoka, watching it week to week. Now, granted, we have to acknowledge like the show still has its problems. The show still has issues with it. And also the numbers on Disney Plus weren't all that great, but I don't even think that's the show's fault. That's indicative of like where the franchise is at right now. It's standing.
Yeah, I mean, Disney Plus was what they did in the middle of Ahsoka streaming. They got rid of group watch feature on Disney Plus, so
Oh, I
you
didn't know
can't
that.
group watch anymore. So
I didn't
mid
know that.
Ahsoka, like it screwed up our live stream because we went to start our group watch, and I'm like, it's not there. And then I'm sitting here scrambling because we're trying to start our show. I go on Disney Plus's Twitter and they're just like, we decided to remove the group watch feature. People are like, what? Like that's how
Like
I
what?
like
Maybe
watch
maybe
with
people were
friends.
taking advantage of that in some way or like exploiting it somehow. Because I mean, you could do that, I think, on Netflix or Amazon Prime, I think, or
Yeah.
something like that, where that's not an issue,
The only
and
thing
they
I
still get
could
big
think
numbers.
is it's an added cost to running
Yeah,
the
that's
program.
probably true. Well, keep in mind they're raising their prices too,
Yeah.
if they haven't already.
And they did that, and that's what I think in the middle as Ahsoka was going on. I think I got a text like, "Hey, just so you know, the price is raising up, X amount of dollars or whatever." I'm just like, "All right." Like,
Yo.
some people are only watching for these shows and bailing, or just waiting a bit and binging it all at once, or it's
I
weird.
think Disney Plus as a service is going through ebbs and flows right now because of stuff like that. But also keep in mind, like a lot of people are not feeling the MCU at the current moment, especially in the wake of Secret Invasion and the Marvels is about to get hit. With the projections on how that's going to do, people are feeling very indifferent about Star Wars, like I said, but also other stuff that's outside of all that with Disney. I think is
Mhm.
where people are at. So that's why it's kind of ebbing and flowing with the service because you still see that in other services, maybe not as bad because Max has been going through that. What is it, Amazon Prime, even though they have good shows and stuff going on. Peacock, the same thing. The
Yep.
list goes on. Paramount Plus, especially, which is a whole nother one that's just kind of there.
I
but
know.
still.
I know, and for some God knows what reason, I'm like subscribed to all of these, and I watch some of them like maybe once a month, probably. So
Hmm.
it is what it is. But yeah, I just want to see all of this story pan out in the Filoni movie. I'll say that, like that's what, because I think it could be epic. I really do. I mean, they're definitely trying to build something here. I to me, Star Wars is now in a place where it's not the Last Jedi versus everything; it's Andor versus everything. The Andor fans are, you
Yeah,
know,
people we need to talk about that because I saw what happened to Star Wars Theory, and I know it sucks for me to bring it up again, but it's out there in everybody's faces. Like people that love Andor, I get it. But I personally feel, and I think I even told you, I think that show is vastly overhyped. I think that a lot of people, the way they talk about it and the way that it gets discussed, I think we're at a point where we cannot have an honest discussion or conversation about Andor because
mhm,
I think that people are just so volatile with their opinions. Even the most inane, like the stuff that Theory put up not too long ago, when he was talking about that it wasn't real Star Wars to him, that it felt like a sci-fi show stuff. That's almost a variant of what I said when I first reviewed Andor. I said
yeah,
that the first thing that came to my mind was Westworld or Blade Runner, which
mhm,
it's fine that the show is made well, but why are we going to eviscerate someone for having an opinion about stuff? Which,
yeah.
by the way, there are far more volatile and nasty opinions about Star Wars stuff that are out there that people just flat out ignore. But it's like, come on, like we gotta be better than that. We gotta be a little bit more decent than that. It's just because you don't like a person personally, like specifically, doesn't mean you have to just come at the throat like that. I think it's so stupid. And I'm seeing it from a lot of people that are just like, you wouldn't expect that from. You would expect better, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's Adam Parker on here. What up, gents?
What
Adam
up, Adam?
Parker. What's going on? And that's Joe there on Rule of the Galaxy. Hello, all. Joe, what's going on? Um, yeah, Star Wars Theory has millions of followers, and it's like I see people who might not like what he says, and it's like, here's my thing: is like I follow people who I disagree with sometimes 9 out of 10 times, but I still follow them. I like to see what other people think about things. if I disagree with them, I'm not going to go, screenshot their stuff and be like, clown on this guy or whatever. And I see that happen with him a lot. Um, I don't think he throws it in people's face, really. I think people just watch what he does and don't like it and decide to share it,
A
and
lot. I mean, let's be fair. I mean, there were times where he kind of plays up to it, which is, that's just the social media game.
yeah,
But the way that people I see come at him, and it's not just him, I have to emphasize because I've seen it towards other people too that aren't really fans of Andor that just get eviscerated personally. Like they take personal shots at them, saying for some people, and even have been thrown at me, saying that I don't understand Star Wars, that I'm not a fan, that I'm just being a hater. It's like, no, I'm having an opinion. Like I'm allowed to have an opinion. And by the way, for me specifically, I'm allowed to have the opinion that I have because I was there 3 a.m. every single week watching Andor. And I was even hyped up to watch Andor. I don't remember if I told you, but I know I told somebody else, like, yo, Andor looks sick. When those trailers were coming out, I'm like, yo, this is gonna be dope. It's gonna be a mature, like spy thriller type of like Winter Soldier type of take with Star Wars. I'm ready. And I ended up walking away very disappointed and almost feeling a little bit cheated by the show because of the way that it turned out. And again,
yeah,
when you see comments from like the showrunner or the director saying that he almost forgot he was making a Star Wars show, like that doesn't bode well for a lot of people. So I can't blame someone like Theory for feeling something like that, let alone me or anybody else feeling something similar, or at least in the same, like, vicinity, the same orbit of that. It's just that we got to learn how to talk to each other. And I see a lot of people, especially in the Star Wars community, that just don't know how to talk to people. And it's just not, it kills the fun. Because where was all that when Ahsoka was going on? Because when Ahsoka was going on, you really didn't see that. You saw some people like try to throw jabs and stuff, but the
hmm
majority of people I felt like were having a lot of fun watching and discussing Ahsoka. I
yeah.
didn't see that with Andor. I saw people that were just being obnoxious to each other.
Yeah, yeah. Anytime Star Wars is going on and people are just vibing and enjoying it, it's really just it's really a great thing.
For real.
And I like you said, I did feel that every so often I would just randomly see a comment where people would just be like, Andor is better than this, where I'm just like, all right,
Yeah, I
you
really
got
can't
you got
stand that.
issues then, like,
Yeah,
because no one
let me
is
tell you
even
something.
talking about that.
Let me tell you a story because this happened to me recently. Okay. And I won't mention names, but I was in a conversation with some people in the games industry that have that same type of attitude where it's like Andor is better than everything. And they have this thing where, like, you've always heard those comments of like, oh, there's no lightsabers in it, there's no force wizards or whatever like that. I think that is such an obnoxious and crappy way to talk to people, or just to be like, in part of a conversation. Because I think that not only it alienates people, but it also like snubs your nose at them, for having a difference in opinion.
Yeah,
Because let me tell you something, like, even with my own parents, like, again, I wasn't born before 77, but my parents were there when Star Wars opened. And I use them as kind of like a barometer of like where they're at, whereas like how certain things feel for like being authentic to Star Wars as a universe, as a franchise. But also, I grew up on the original trilogy, with VHS and stuff. And I've been with this for a long time. So to say someone like me doesn't understand or know Star Wars is kind of comical at that point. But there are other people that are also similar to me that are like that have been with this for a very long time. And I just don't think it's right for them. I don't think it's fair to be like that. And again, it's just not a good way to talk to people when you're discussing media or cinema or any sort of stuff like this in entertainment and fandom. It doesn't do anybody any favors to be like that on either side, I should say. But in general, it just doesn't do anybody any favors.
yeah. I'm gonna read a comment here from Cody as well, where he said, Andor would have been perfect for me if the sequels had landed. It was the kind of experimentation I can admire, but the core has to be strong before you can experiment. But the core wavered.
I partially agree with that. The only reason why I say partially is because Andor, the argument for Andor is that it goes back to the whole galactic civil war thing with the rise of the rebellion, or like the whole kind of like guerrilla warfare tactics of the rebellion. And I think that's nonsense, to be honest with you, because I see that as an excuse, because there are elements of that in Rogue One, and Rogue One feels more like true Star Wars or connected to the Star Wars galaxy and the universe more so than Andor does. And that's supposed to be related to this thing. And the problem is that whether it's the iconography or just the vibe and the tone and the pacing of it, because let's be real, we could all agree that Andor's pacing almost drags to a point where it's like it becomes boring to watch. You didn't get that in Rogue One. You didn't get that in most other Star Wars properties, animated or live action or otherwise.
Mhm.
So why is it that this one is like being used as like a paragon of what's supposed to represent the franchise when it's so disconnected and so like disjointed from the rest of the universe? It's like I just don't agree with that. Like, I'm down for experimentation with the franchise, which we've gotten in other places. We got that in Clone Wars, we got that in Rebels, we got that in Star Wars Visions. There's examples of that type of thing being done, but being done with more and better faith, towards what Star Wars is in essence.
Yeah, and I think that Ahsoka was a good dose of them staying true, but also dancing with a little bit of new stuff as well. The fact that we went to like a new galaxy
Yeah,
in it,
Peridia.
yeah, like there was a lot of things in Ahsoka where it was like you had that core where it felt like Star Wars, but they also, we got into live action Night Sisters. Like
Yeah, it wasn't like breaking the physics of the universe or like bringing things to such a drag, because Ahsoka has slower moments. Like Ahsoka, for the most part, is a pretty fast paced show, but it has slower moments. But it didn't feel like you were watching something you were bored. Like I felt bored in a good chunk of Andor, and it's like it's trying to be like high minded, kind of like Westworld, like high minded, but it's doing it at this in this space where it doesn't even feel like the franchise is supposed to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean. Yeah, and another thing too that I wanted to comment on as well was I thought that the special effects in Ahsoka were top tier again. I mean,
Yeah,
I
they were
always go
good.
back to Kenobi because I just don't think they were great for that. But
Yeah, I agree.
I thought the special effects were top tier. What are your thoughts on Sabine's arc throughout the show?
So, like a lot of people, I think Sabine ended up being unlikable at the start. And keep in mind, this is coming off of Rebel stuff, and there's time that's passed since Rebels happened, since the ending of Rebels, which again, the timeline and the placement of stuff gets a little bit weird. But that time frame technically is before A New Hope, technically. And then now all the original trilogy has happened. There's all this stuff that's happened in the galaxy. There's been like a good almost 10 plus years that have happened since the ending of Rebels, I want to say, give or take a number of years. But I think she got better as the series went on. I agree with some people that maybe her advancement with the Force or using the Force or training with it was probably a little bit too fast. And I think that's a writing issue in the writer's room, because I don't even think that was all Dave's fault, to be honest with you. I think he understands these characters, but I think also the number of episodes you're allotted, as well as also where these characters need to get to in order to be in line with other projects that we probably don't know about much, or at least in some form. I think that all affects it. But I think that with her, she became much more better as the series went on. By the time we got to the end, I think everybody was just okay with her.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, she took a lightsaber to the gut. So I mean, we have another
Yeah,
gut.
but yo, Disney's got to stop doing that. They really, really need to stop doing that. That is such a played out, like terrible decision to do, because they did it twice in Kenobi and everybody hated it. They did it here in Ahsoka, and it still looks just as stupid and makes almost no sense in
Yes.
relation to the rest of the franchise. Like again, you have to bring up the conversation about Qui-Gon getting stabbed, which is really crappy and it's really bad. It's just one of the worst things I think that Disney has done is almost downplay the effectiveness of lightsabers in some form, like with
Yeah.
stuff like this.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's like you take a gut punch from a lightsaber, you're usually
Usually
dropping to your
done,
knees and
finished.
falling to the ground like Qui-Gon did.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I think I'll be good to not see people get stabbed and not die from it. That's what I think. I think you really walk a dangerous line where
Mhm.
you if your franchise just shows like no matter what happens to people, they're going to survive. Because to me, it confuses the viewer because you
Takes
don't
away the
know whether
stakes.
to feel sad or not when something
Yeah, it
happens.
really does take away the stakes, and I think that, there could have been other decisions and mild adjustments made to make some of that other stuff make sense. So, instead of her getting stabbed, why doesn't she get slashed? Because at
Yeah,
least with a slash, you could play it off as like, "Okay, it wasn't deep. It wasn't that in, like, a vital organ or something."
yeah,
I mean, there's other ways to go about that, or even other ways to, like, maybe knock her out, KO her, hitting her with the hilt of a lightsaber. Like, there's other decisions that can be made to change up stuff like that so you avoid all those other criticisms and all those other problems.
yeah, yeah. Like Shin could have easily, like you're saying, Shin could have easily knocked her out and been like, we'll be back for you or something like that, and it would have been equally as badass. Like,
Yeah, or like force choke her out to like make her pass on, not kill her, but
yeah.
to do so. Speaking of which, Shin Hati and Balin Skull, like word up to Ray Stevenson, because Ray, I really hope they recast, because I don't think they should lose the character, because the
Hmm.
writing could really help make that character still be good, especially if they get someone good to replace him, to recast it. But those two characters I think were the most intriguing for everybody throughout
Hmm.
Ahsoka, and it sucks where the series left them at, because you got Balin, who looks like he's going to Mortis. I think that it's so ambiguous, but it looks like he's going to some sort of like area to go towards Mortis. but also Shin is just kind of like she's just kind of left there on Peridia. It would have been made more sense for her, for me anyway, if she was working together with Thrawn, because Balin even talks about that a few times with her. There's some instances where he's like, yo, listen, like they're doing other stuff and we're trying to do something greater. It would have made more sense if she actually started working with Thrawn to go back to the original galaxy.
Yeah, no, I definitely could see that, and I agree with you. I think there's some of the most intriguing new characters we've gotten, even in all of Disney Star Wars shows. Like, even with throw the Mandalorian into it. Obviously Mando, we have a lot of new characters in the
Yeah.
Mandalorian, but like as far as Jedi go, and what these guys were, which they're not gray Jedi.
No, again, the gray Jedi are not a thing. They do not exist. It's not a thing. But I will say they are dark Jedi. I think that's
Yeah.
fair to say that, or at least Jedi who have been turned in some way, because
Mhm.
I don't think they're not really full dark side, and they're not Sith. That's the one thing. They're kind of like disillusioned Jedi. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I thought that's one of the best things that Ray Stevenson did in the show was, although he was an enemy of Ahsoka and everything, you felt like there was a level of respect there
Yeah.
and he did that very nonchalantly as an actor, where like you're like, he knows he has to fight her, but he also I felt like he kind of admired her in a type of way for
And it makes
what
sense.
she did.
It really does make sense because again, he's been in the order around the time before Order 66. So he would know Ahsoka in some way at her prime, or at least, in that era of when, things went down. But also, I think it also makes sense because he's morally ambiguous, but he's also like he's able to kind of like bend the rules a little bit to his favor, which, you could say the Jedi Order was very rigid. You're not really allowed to bend the rules, kind of like what Qui-Gon did. That's why he was always like at odds with the Jedi Council. But Balin, you could see clearly he's just whatever is in his favor or in favor for him and Shin like that, he's able to do that. So if he could avoid fighting Ahsoka or turn her to his side, I'm pretty sure he would have did so. But it puts another dimension on what it means to be a bad guy in Star Wars. Not necessarily a Sith or a dark evil character, but a bad person or an antagonist.
Yeah, I agree. And to me, that adds layers to Star Wars, which I thought Ahsoka did as a show. Was I thought it added some new layers. I mean, we had zombie stormtroopers in it.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty
There,
sick.
there, there was some problems with it, like in certain instances, because I think like there are certain spots where they look a little bit goofy, and I
Yeah,
wish that they were a little bit more intimidating. But I feel like if we go into Days movie and they become more of a relevant thing, they need to be much more scary and much more of a threat,
yeah.
because they're almost not really too much of a threat here. And I think maybe that has to do because Thrawn only had so many forces to spare to turn into those zombies, from the Night Sisters. But I
Mhm.
think like, okay, if we go back to the original galaxy and Thrawn has all these people that he could recruit and the Night Sisters could use their magic, I mean, that could be a much more bigger problem.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If I'm not mistaken, did they ever reveal what was being loaded in? Because I thought it
No,
might have
they
been
didn't.
bodies.
I think it's implied. Honestly, I think it's maybe either more Night Sisters or it's more of his soldiers that were dead that he's using like in some sort of like Night Sister experiment or some way that they're going to be resurrected. Because I think whatever's in those things are very important, but I just don't think it's like weapons or anything. I really
Dude,
think that
if
it has
those are
something to do
like
with the Night Sisters.
if those are like sleeping Night Sisters, and he's about to like go back and
Well, he went
just
to
like,
that Dathomir. Like, why else would you go there with the Night Sisters? Like, it seems like it makes sense, but they got to show us. They got to show us and make it clear what exactly is up.
yeah, yeah. And Ahsoka had that new what was the name of that blade again? Do you remember it off the top of your head? That green blade that
The no, it wasn't new. That's actually from Reb. I think it's no, it's from Clone Wars. It's the blade of the head Night Sister. Oh my god, I can't remember that they gave it to her, but it's straight up from Clone Wars that she fights Mace Windu. I believe it is.
Joe would know it if he's in the
Oh my god,
comments.
I can't remember. And they said it too. It's in the show. It's oh my god, like it's pretty much a blade that's uses Night Sister magic that could fight against someone who's using a lightsaber or a Force user. But I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure you look at it. It's in Clone Wars though.
and Ahsoka's hilt got split in half, and then she took that and fought with it. So I mean, I guess she still has that blade at this point, right?
Maybe
Like,
like if I was her, I mean, I wouldn't make it so that way she never uses two lightsabers again. I'm pretty sure, like, because she's with Hu Yang, she could build another blade. Like,
that's
it's
true.
not like that's impossible to do that. And also keep in mind, Hu Yang has parts. He had parts all the way back from Rebels, because of Kaden and everybody else. So it's not like she can't make another Kodachi lightsaber because I think that
Yeah.
was the smaller one that got sliced up.
Mhm. Which shout out to Hu Yang as well, because
You
I
know,
thought
Hu Yang could throw hands.
he was one of
Like,
the
I
best
remember
in the show
seeing that. It
too.
was like, Jesus Christ, Hu Yang
Yeah,
is literally boxing these guys.
dude, that was awesome.
That
That
was
was awesome.
great.
A little droid fist fight
This
outside
man
of
was
the ship.
throwing hands. Like, he's like, yo, that's about 2,500 years of Jedi like sparring for you.
I know he's
Forget
been waiting for
lightsabers. I
that.
got these hands you could catch.
He's been waiting, dude. And he had some extra hands coming out on that fight too. You know, that was like
Literally.
rock'em sock'em. But yeah, I mean, overall, I was happy with it for some of the like Mandalorian season 3 when that happened. I was pretty open to say that I was a little underwhelmed by season 3 of The Mandalorian. And then Obi-Wan, I've expressed my disappointment about that show multiple times. I
Yeah.
mean, I felt like we got the true dose of Hayden Christensen in Ahsoka that I wanted to get out of Obi-Wan
Yeah,
Kenobi
where
show.
was this in Obi-Wan? Because let's be real, like it's come out already for a while now that the numbers for the budgets for all these shows are vastly like all over the place. Obi-Wan should have had a much bigger budget. How do you get Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen to reprise their roles from the prequels and not throw the whole kitchen sink of money at it? Like, there's no reason that should have been the case. And
Yep.
what sucks is that clearly there's a difference in the writing because Dave Filoni knows how to use characters like Anakin and stuff in creative ways. Because look how much fan service we got and how much extra stuff we got that made sense in
Yeah.
Ahsoka. We got to see Hayden, as Anakin in his original outfit from Revenge of the Sith. We got to see Clone Wars Hayden, for Anakin Skywalker in that outfit straight from the animated series with shot pretty much a greatest hits of the Clone Wars to
Yeah.
that point. And we even got like a what if type of thing with what is it with Anakin using a red lightsaber being a Sith, practically using the dark side. Yeah, the Blade of Talzin, that was the name of it. Mother Talzin is who used it. Okay, but yeah, like look at all that stuff that we got within just those 2 episodes, and then we had the hologram in that one random episode that was literally the trailer lines for Ahsoka.
Yep.
I mean, look at the difference. Like there's a lot of big stuff that caters to fan service for longtime fans, but also gives the essence of that character for people that are just into it, which is awesome. It's all you can ask for.
Absolutely. And that's all those things you laid out right there. To me, it's like which made me like really enjoy the show. As everything was over, the end cliffhanger, absolutely. Ezra showing up on that ship, just saying hi, like
Yeah, the
Hera
hobo shouldn't have
saying,
been wearing his helmet. Like, come on now. Come on, Dave. Come on, we get it. Like, just use some common sense.
Alfie said that when we were watching it live stream, and when he was getting off the ship, Alfie was like, he wasn't uncomfortable flying the whole way there, and then with
No,
that
not even
helmet on
that. It's
still.
like the rebel, the New Republic troopers there, they've already had a bad experience with someone showing up to their ship like unsolicited. Like if they were dumb, they saw that they would be blasting at him.
Yeah,
Like
he's lucky it
like,
wasn't on site.
Why they do it is because of Hera. And then Chopper, which by the way, shout out to Chopper. Chopper live action is pretty dope.
Yeah, he was really cool. And you know what? I thought Chopper was gonna have more roles in the show than he actually did. He was there and he looked awesome. And there was scenes with him in it that were sick, but I did think that he was going to play more of a role. But to me, I think that role is going to come in season 2 of Ahsoka or wherever we're going.
Yeah, you
from
know
here.
something? What I thought we were going to get, and we didn't get it here, was a reunion of all the Rebels characters, with the exception of Caden.
Yeah,
Caden Jarrus. Like I thought we were going to get that here by the end, but clearly not. I think if we don't get that in season 2, we're getting that in Filoni's movie, like hands down. There's no way he's not going to have all his characters from animated in live action not come together. There's just no way that's going to be like a missed opportunity. I think also Lucasfilm and Disney probably learned a real hard lesson from the sequel trilogy to not have that shot, the group shot of all the characters that people want to see together. I think that's a real thing. So here's hoping, fingers crossed.
Yeah. And I mean, I was on the record for saying too that, as things are starting to get rolling here and starting to get cooking with this storyline, Luke is out there, Leia's out there, Han's out there.
They acknowledge Leia too. Now, granted, they had to do it in this way with C-3PO, and I thought it was tasteful. Some people didn't like it, which I thought was confusing because it's like, yo, she's out there, she's doing stuff, but it would be kind of one thing to get someone to do like a deep fake of Carrie Fisher. At least with this one, you could acknowledge that she's relevant, she's in the know, but she's doing things like over there. So, and C-3PO is like pretty much her servant at this point,
Exactly.
New Republic.
Yeah, and here's my thoughts is like if there was ever a time where you were going to do a recast and not do deep fakes, it would be now because it would
Yeah.
be a good cushion to start that off if Luke is going to fight alongside these guys against Thrawn and whatever army he's bringing. You know, it's like it's a decent time to just be like, you know what, we're recasting Luke Skywalker. Here's our guy. It could be a new star that you bring to Star Wars, you know, and I mean the hardest part about all of this the hardest thing that's looming over all of this is the sequel trilogy. You know,
I think
love the
part of
sequel
it is,
trilogy or hate it, but it's like the storyline somehow needs to add up to where those characters are at that
well,
point.
I don't even think you need to do that. I think there's another issue at here. I think is that the fandom or just Star Wars fans and even really Lucasfilm, either they want to have their cake and eat it too, or they don't want change. And that's the problem because number one, how do you recast an iconic part like Luke Skywalker or Carrie Fisher or Han Solo? Because you got to throw in Han Solo in there. This is this time frame. You're not just going to have this stuff going on in our galaxy and those characters not be involved somehow. Like they're going to have to do some sort of trickery or some sort of explanation to make it all make sense. If you do recast it, that's a whole issue. But if you don't recast it, they still have to have those characters involved. So you're going to have to deep fake them. I think that if they had to choose one character to do the deep fake with, keep it as Luke Skywalker because they literally had Luke in the whole episode of the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And he showed up at the end of Mando, but Book of Boba Fett, he was there relevant doing things for a while. There's ways to do it. And I'm pretty sure like it's going to be costly, but it'll be worth it because what's the conversation going to be? Luke Skywalker is involved with Ahsoka, with all these characters, with, Ezra Bridger, all these different characters in whatever's going on with Thrawn. And I feel like that's what people want to see. They at least wants to see an effort that's going to make sense with all this stuff while trying to navigate through all these challenges.
With Mando, with Bo-Katan,
Yeah,
with
all of them, with everybody, with Hera.
Yeah.
There's got to be a moment, and I think it's going to be in the movie where everybody is together doing stuff. Like, you know what I think would be cool if we get to Dave's movie, right, and we get that Return of the Jedi / A New Hope, group shot of like in the conference room with Mon Mothma, with Admiral Akbar, with everybody there, everybody together planning to do something against Thrawn. I feel like we have to get something like that.
Nah, that would be sick. I'm picturing like a for Frodo moment from the Lord of the Rings, when Aragorn's charging
I'm thinking Council of Elrond. I think literally Council of Elrond.
Yeah.
That's how you got to do it like that. If you're to use the Lord of the Rings reference, but still, like for Star Wars, it's literally them at the middle point of Return of the Jedi before the second Death Star attack. I mean, or whatever assault. It's just I feel like that's where you get everybody together in one spot, and then you have everybody going doing their roles, whatever's going on with Thrawn. Because number one, Thrawn's got to be a threat. I don't know if Thrawn really in this series like cemented himself as like a giant threat. It's cool to finally see him in live action. Don't get me wrong. I think that the casting that they have of was it not Lars Mikkelsen? What is his brother? No, it is Lars Mikkelsen.
It
right?
is Lars Mikkelsen.
Yeah, Lars Mikkelsen. As Thrawn, he looks good. He's a little weighty, and people were kind of poking fun at him over that. But I think he looks the part, and he sounds the part. He has a presence because when he shows up on screen, he eats up the attention on screen. Like he just sounds good, and he's great. But he needs
his eyes look cool too.
Yeah, he looks really good. But he needs to establish himself as a threat, story wise, by either doing something that's really going to hurt the New Republic to really show them, like, yo, I'm here now. Like all that stuff you were building up before, like now it's happening. Like there needs to be something that happens with that towards either Ahsoka season 2 or in the movie to really establish that.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of excited to see the New Republic get embarrassed a little bit because they've been
getting embarrassed the whole time since and not Andor, but like was it Mando season 3. They've been getting embarrassed for a while, but I think that's just poor writing. I don't even think is that the New Republic is supposed to be incompetent. I think that there's just a lot of poor creative decisions with how certain things play out. They don't make it like, sound a little bit more thought out than what it probably should be.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm also interested to see because now at the point that this is over, we got like a timeline idea when oh my gosh, his name is escaping me right now, the X-Wing pilot from the New Republic.
Oh, the guy with the beard. Oh my god, I know who you're talking about. Okay, again, I keep forgetting some of these people's names.
Man, there's a lot of
But
names and it's
yeah,
bothering me.
he's in our galaxy in the regular galaxy like
Yes.
that. He's with the New Republic right now, and he's the one that basically was at that hearing saying
Yes.
like, "Yo, we saw all this stuff happen." Which, by the way, clearly one of those people or the guy that's getting into it with Hera. He clearly has to be working with Thrawn in some way, like because you can't be that stupid. Carson Teva.
Yeah.
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 Like he's clearly got to be working with Thrawn like that because there's just no way that you just deny, and these people literally saw this like 5 minutes ago.
That's what, like, they told you that this timeline is on par with Mando because in that meeting, Carson Teva was like, he was like, "What about what happened with Moff Gideon on
Yeah,
whatever planet?" Like, so like,
yeah, Mandalore.
yeah, so this is active with the Mando plot. So
This is parallel, I think. If not after, it's definitely parallel because
yeah,
this is why, like, how some of these characters or some of the other characters that we saw in Mando season 3, it's kind of weird that they're not around.
yeah. So, in my opinion, the second that Mando kicked his legs back and was chilling on his little hut with Grogu and was just like, "We could settle down here," I think that's the second that Thrawn touched down on Dathomir and started cooking over there. Mando's like, "Yeah, I can relax and chill here," and now
I think
he's going
there's
to be
maybe a
calling the
little bit of
battle.
time before that. I think like as Ahsoka, the beginning of Ahsoka to the mid is going on. I think that's just after that happens. I think it's literally like right afterwards.
Yeah,
To me, that's how it makes sense to me because that gives everybody time to go do their things in Ahsoka. And while Mando's just kind of like on break, he's just kind of like on standby until Filoni needs him.
yeah.
Until he gets the call.
Yeah, here's a question from Joe. Does this all have anything? Does this all have to lead into something that makes sense to lead into the prequels? So
To the
I don't
sequels. To the
to the
sequels.
sequels. I wonder if what Joe is asking is, does it have to make sense, or can
I
we
think it's
just
gonna
have
have to.
fun with it?
It's
Like,
just canon. I mean, there's as much as we dislike a lot of the stuff in the sequels, they are canon, and we just gotta deal with it. But like, I'm with at least the idea of like Filoni and Lucasfilm playing in this time frame, just kind of just ignoring it for now. Because you could say like, oh, Luke building that temple is the temple that Kylo Ren is going to burn down some point that down like years from now. Which if we harp on that too much, we're never going to get anywhere. We're never going to enjoy this stuff
mhm,
because then you got to start asking yourself: is Caden's kid going to get killed in that? Is Grogu going to get killed in that? It's like it gets ridiculous
mhm.
at that point. I think that you look at those sequels as like they happened, whatever in the future, but just focus on the here and now of what this time frame is and just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah,
This is why also, by the way, terrible idea for Lucasfilm to go back to that Rey movie that's supposed to take place after the Rise of Skywalker. Very terrible idea. I said
yeah,
that
because
I think on this podcast last time I was here.
you're pigeonholing yourself even more for the future of Star Wars now. So
Yeah.
you got to be sure about whatever future that's going on in that Ray movie is going to be the future that you want for Star Wars, or else we're just going to have to start going back to these Knights of the Old Republic type stories and everything, because I think those could be incredible. I think they could be great, but I mean, yeah, there's a path that needs to kind of be followed at this point now. So
Hmm. Agreed.
kind of sucks, kind of a shame, but it is what it is. Do you have any other thoughts on Ahsoka before we move on to any other topics here tonight?
So last thoughts I could say on Ahsoka, because again, I feel like at this point everywhere I've talked about it, luckily, which is fun to me, don't get me wrong. But last thoughts overall, I will say I enjoyed watching the show week to week. I had more fun watching this than some of the last few shows, even more fun than Mando season 3. And I was hyped up for Mando season 3, but I felt this one had more moments getting people talked about it. I wish Disney, if they're going to do the in theater presentation of the episodes, they need to put it in more theaters because I would have loved to have gone, but I'm not going to drive up to Orlando 4 hours from here to go see that. It's like, if you're going to put it in theaters, put it in multiple theaters in many places. Like have it in Miami. I would have gone
Dude,
to Miami to go see it, but
mine was a disaster.
either do that or don't do it at all because it's like, like not everybody could go to these things because they're so like far scattered and there's so
Mhm.
few of them. It kind of just doesn't make sense. At that point, save the money with that stuff and just put more into the episodes. I would
Yep.
rather have. But regardless, though, I still enjoyed the show. I still think that the series was fun to watch, despite my criticisms. I definitely want to see more of Ahsoka. I'm definitely down for season 2 more than I am with some of these other shows. And I think Rosario Dawson did a great job. Word up to Ray Stevenson. Word up to Lars Mikkelsen. Everybody else that was on the cast, I think did a great job.
Oh
for
yeah.
what the story was being told.
Yeah, I give the cast an A for this, and I'm laughing at Adam Parker saying that I'm about to be triggered because I was lucky enough to get a ticket, and I had a theater 15 minutes away from me showing it.
Oh
So
man,
yeah, so I got into that pool on GoFobo or whatever.
did you go?
I got the ticket. I went. I got to the theater an hour early, an hour ahead of time. It said arrive early because the tickets are slightly overbooked to make sure the theater is
Yeah,
full.
that's a failure on their part.
Bro, I walked in the theater. The show was going to be playing at 8 o'clock because it was going to be premiering at 9. So it was going to
Mhm.
be showing at 8 at the movie theater. I walked in an hour early. I'm like, I'm good to go here, dude. I walked in. There was no less than 200 people in line already. I'm like, yo,
But
okay.
you already got your ticket though. Like,
Dude, there were fans who were so annoyed. There was probably 150, 200 people who didn't get into the
oh,
theater.
that's horrible.
They overbooked it by that much.
That is
Like,
stupid. That is in
yeah,
high. Then put it in more theaters. Let people go see this.
yeah,
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna do it right, or don't do it at all.
yeah. That's why I was filming. There was a line that wrapped around my freaking mall, dude, where I was just like, hey, and I actually had the Star Wars account for the first time ever comment, on my post where I said I was like, Star Wars is alive and well because it's like, yo, we've got a premiere of a show of one episode of a show and we're packing a mall right now.
Yeah,
Like,
which is great,
yeah,
but still, it doesn't matter if you don't see it.
yeah. So that dude, I was probably three people away from getting into the theater. They had a desk there and they had a girl who was just scanning your tickets with her phone. Over 100 people behind me, dude. At one point, she was just like, guys, the theater's full. We're all done here. Sorry. And
Yeah,
just
they should have
got
put it
up
in
and
more theaters,
walked
and that
away.
sucks. That's horrible. And I don't just blame the theater, I blame Disney or
Yeah.
Lucasfilm for doing that, because that makes no sense to do that to people. It's like,
Yeah.
at that point, don't do that. Let everybody see it at home. Do like a special presentation or something, after the episode. Do like what Talking Dead does, or like what House of the Dragon does. Do like a post episode like discussion. Like, I don't understand why they don't do that. And instead they do those specials that come after the whole series airs. But like, yo, do like a post episode discussion with Dave Filoni or something, and Rosario Dawson. Like, there's a
Dude,
better
that would
way to
be
go
awesome.
about this.
That would be really cool, actually. I
Yeah,
mean,
for real.
there's blueprints out there. I keep telling Bob to check them out, but I don't think he's listening to our show. Or maybe he's just not listening to those episodes when I'm telling him, there's easy money makers that he can do for Star Wars. But,
Mm. I'm just saying, Bob, get it together. Tell Kathleen to get it together. Come on.
yeah, and we got a comment from Sotico here for the first part of a trilogy, Ahsoka season
Tico.
1, Ahsoka season 2, Heir to the Empire movie. This was a fantastic world building, storytelling in Star Wars. Big shout out to Lucasfilm.
Yeah, dude, the movie better be called Heir to the Empire. It's such an easy setup. It is such an easy setup. That if that movie is not called Heir to the Empire, that's a massive L.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it would be awesome, dude. And I will be seated in that theater, and
I
I'll
mean,
probably
I
get
wouldn't
there
even be
2 hours
mad if it's
early.
not exactly one for one like the Heir to the Empire books, but it doesn't matter at that point. It's a movie, and it's
Yeah,
good, and it's being done by Dave Filoni. Like, I think we're good at that point.
yeah. It's odd to me that I've seen divisive comments about Filoni at this point now, too. To me, which just tells me, number one, it tells me that some of the people I just follow aren't going to like stuff, and it is what it is.
Yeah,
But
they're just talking in bad faith, to be honest with
yeah,
you. Like, literally look at the response that Ahsoka got. Like, forget about criticisms of the show. Look at the conversation starters. Look at the conversations being had about it. The fact that we were hyped for a number of episodes mid-season like that tells you everything that you need to know about that, compared to Mando season 3, compared to Andor, compared to everything else, compared to Kenobi, even in Book of Boba Fett.
yeah.
Like, you can't hate on Dave Filoni right now, because he is literally putting in work, and that's not even counting all the animated stuff and all the times he consulted on some of these other shows when they actually had good stuff.
That's what I think. The mid-season momentum that Ahsoka picked up was better than anything else, really. Where it was like each episode, I was like, we're probably gonna have a down week this week. When we got to like episodes 4, 5, like and 6 and stuff, I'm like, dude, this show is picking up steam. Like
Well,
this
yeah, a
is
lot of it
really
is due to fan service, but it's good fan and it's fun. That's the
Yeah.
best thing. It's fun to
It made
follow.
sense. It made sense,
Yeah.
and it was, and again, you shouted out Rosario Dawson, all the actors and actresses involved. I thought Rosario Dawson did a good job at nonchalantly just being live action Ahsoka for a full season of a show, not just showing up in Mando or Book of Boba Fett, like for taking on her own show and playing the character really well. I
Yeah.
thought she did a good job.
It worked.
It really worked. So, I guess we just got Skeleton Crew to wait for now, or
Well, we got Skeleton Crew being made, which is I think the next thing. And the Acolyte is the other one.
Acolyte.
That Acolyte I think is going to be the next one to come out, because Skeleton Crew, I don't think anybody's really excited about it. Like, despite its premise, we know really nothing about that show. Honestly, even with the panel at Star Wars Celebration, we still don't understand what that show is. Same thing with the Acolyte. The Acolyte is another one that I feel like everybody's very indifferent on, because if you like the High Republic, you probably like what it's probably going to be doing. But still, I feel like they just don't have enough good faith for whatever the Acolyte is going to be like for it to be good from the get-go. I just think that there's a lot of conversations about that show outside of Star Wars, and just the vibe I'm getting from everybody online talking about it. It's just a very weird spot.
It is. Yeah. I mean, we all know about the comments that either the
Even
showrunner or
besides those,
director.
like, I just think that people want to like this show. They want a W, but it's like, what are you really going to do? Like, we don't get a full idea of what this show is about. It's set within a time frame that, like, it's before Phantom Menace. It's in the High Republic, and High Republic, let's be honest, is not really hot right now. Like,
Yeah.
as much as a lot of people want to make it a thing, I think that probably when a lot of the other game stuff comes out, like Star Wars Eclipse comes out, and some other things here and there start to really drop, maybe people will kind of lighten up on the High Republic and maybe warm up to it a little bit. But I didn't really see that after Jedi Survivor came out, and the High Republic was technically involved with that, which almost nobody really cared about.
Yeah. Yeah. The most I know about the High Republic is from tuning into the Disney Junior show with my kids every so often.
And yeah, I mean, that's cute, but that's not something I think is really going to get people behind it. Like, I shouldn't be too hard on it, because the High Republic does have a lot of fans. But as someone that's been with Star Wars for so long, I want to get into it, and it's not giving me a reason to. This is why I'm hoping, like, when Quantic Dream comes out with their game and it's set in the High Republic, I hope I get down with it. And it's like, okay, it gets me intrigued by it to actually join up and check out a lot of this stuff. I was even considering at one point, since we were talking about audiobooks, maybe checking out one of the High Republic audiobooks at some point, but I'm still not feeling that. Like, I just did not like some of the stuff, and I wasn't really getting excited for some of the stuff I saw from the books, let alone the comic books, which there's a whole other issue.
Yes.
But still, like, it's just, again, a lot of indifferent feelings right now.
Yeah, I know Joe from our podcast is in the comments section right now, and that man will absorb any Star Wars audiobook that is out there. And he actually even stopped listening to High Republic at one point. And I mean, there's fans of the High Republic, and I'm not knocking them, obviously, but I think it definitely is a niche thing for Star Wars right now, to where it's like, even for the kids show, you could have easily made it almost like Muppet Babies, where you could have like a young Luke and Leia and Han and Chewbacca. It doesn't even have to make sense. You could just have them all as like young Jedi or whatever, just like
have it like
just for
Chibi or
kids.
something, or set it in the Clone Wars during the actual Republic in the Clone Wars, because I think like a lot of people will probably be a little bit more down with that. But it is what it is. I just think that we all have to be objective and be like, oh, look, this thing might not be hitting as much as some people want it to. We had to do that with Kenobi. Real talk. Every Star Wars fan had to kind of come face to face with that.
Yeah, that was like the wake up call for me, where I was just like, man, I'm not going to love everything they do, I guess, with this on Disney.
And so Tico just brought up the Old Republic. It's like, that's another thing. It's like, why are we trying to make the High Republic a thing so hard when the Old Republic is something that people really want? Like, forgetting about the Knights of the Old Republic remake game, which is, I think that game is going to be canceled. I think there's already a strong case for that game already being canceled. It's just, it hasn't been officially announced. But the idea, like, yo, we have the entire Old Republic era there that people want. People are dying for this. Apparently, there's supposed to be some sort of cameo by Keanu Reeves, and they're saying he might be Revan in The Acolyte, which I still don't believe. I really don't believe that's the case, because if they were really going to do the Old Republic, they would have already committed by now, because they know the demand is there, but they're just not doing anything. It's just, it's very confusing and very weird to me.
Yeah. And I think that gives you an opportunity to present Star Wars with different visuals and everything to where it still feels like Star Wars, but you can definitely go old school with it and just have a very different vibe and get
Yeah.
creative with it.
And it's
But
established. People already know the Old Republic from the games, but also the books and other stuff that even from Clone Wars, there's references to the Old Republic. Revan was supposed to be in the Old Republic, at one point. I mean, not the Old Republic, in Clone Wars, during that scene with Darth Revan, I mean, with Darth Bane, with Yoda, that he was actually supposed to be in there as part of that thing. And they cut it out, obviously, and they changed it. But still, there is demand for that. And they just are deciding not to roll with it. And who knows? I think there was those rumors about that movie being set with not Lindelof, but the guys from Game of Thrones, that they were supposed to be doing a movie set in the Old Republic, which we don't even know if that was fully true, because again, it's confusing what happens with all those projects that get canceled, which is still a very awkward conversation to even have about it with Lucasfilm, but still. It is what it is. There's a lot of weirdness.
That's why it's funny with the Game of Thrones guys, because I picture Old Republic like having a Game of Thrones vibe to it for some reason.
That's
like
essentially what it kind of is. Just like old school fantasy and sci-fi.
Yeah,
would have been cool.
Yeah, and I always forget their names. I used to listen to a podcast where
Betty
they
Off and
the
Weiss.
guys the double
Betty
D's.
Off and Weiss is the guys.
Yeah. Yeah, they were good, and then people weren't happy with that finale, and I don't know what those guys have worked on a lot, since.
Yeah, right.
Here we go from Sotico on my podcast. I was saying that a Game of Thrones style show for the Old Republic would be perfect. 10 plus seasons, tons of storytelling.
No, I don't know about that much, but you got to get the right people behind it. Like maybe also that was a blessing in disguise that we didn't get that, because a lot of people criticized them for being almost creatively bankrupt for the ending of Game of Thrones like that. So it could have been a W in disguise, but even so, like that, let's hope that at least Lucasfilm acknowledges or does something. Because, going back to the past, 25,000 years prior sounds cool, but it might not be cool after Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Going back to Rey again for whatever this future movie is going to be with the new Jedi Order doesn't sound like a great idea.
Yeah, and I mean,
just saying,
if George R.R. Martin, were able to get his hands on Star Wars, I think Luke and Leia would have wound up being together in the end of all of it, the way he writes his shit. So.
No, we don't need that. Keep George away from it.
I love it.
Not that George, the other
George. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I'm happy with Ahsoka. Still very curious about the future with all this stuff. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I got to get into as we're moving on past Ahsoka here was you ranked every single PlayStation game that has a Star Wars title involved.
Yep, I did.
So why don't you talk a little bit about your process picking those out?
Yeah.
Were you struggling to pick this tier list a little bit?
Not really, because luckily, for anybody that doesn't know, I play a lot of games, and I play a lot of Star Wars games in particular. Like literally almost every day, I'm doing TikTok videos about Star Wars games in some fashion. I even did it today before doing this podcast. So I've played a lot of them across many platforms, including just about every single PlayStation Star Wars game there is. So I think I'm more than qualified to kind of give like an official tier list or ranking or opinion about this type of stuff. So I pretty much had a good standing of where I had stood, and my overall opinions about every single game that I included. And let me emphasize, every single PlayStation Star Wars game across every single PlayStation platform. So that includes PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5, PSP, and PlayStation Vita, which luckily for me, there wasn't a whole lot going on with PlayStation Vita. And I kind of gave myself the setting and the rule set for that. Anything that was like Star Wars Pinball or like some sort of like offshoot random Star Wars game or like Star Wars Minecraft, I wasn't counting that, because to me, that's not really a true Star Wars game. The only exception to that I made was the Lego Star Wars, because to me, that's a little bit more of a truer kind of like Star Wars franchise type of game, even though it's a licensed thing with Lego. But every other Star Wars game was fair game, to be included with it. So I knew where I was with every single game, because most of them I've reviewed or I've talked about or played at some point, in some sort of piece of content. So I went through everything and I landed on the way that I landed on with the tier list.
Yeah. And I won't give away, a lot of spoilers here for this list, because I highly encourage you guys to go to Jake James Lugo's YouTube channel to watch this video. It's one of his latest videos, PlayStation Star Wars ranking. I love the thumbnail you threw up for
Oh
that too.
yeah,
That's like a
the
clean
ultimate
thumbnail.
tier list for
That
Star Wars PlayStation games.
that's an eye grabber. You got that PlayStation logo locked in there, and
Yeah,
it's like,
wait till you see the Xbox one. It's gonna be good.
dude, I'm fired up for that.
Yeah,
And
I'm for anybody that doesn't know, I'm doing all the platforms. So I did the PlayStation one with every PlayStation console and platform. The next one I already recorded that I just have to edit is all the Xbox Star Wars games. So, like some people were saying in the chat, Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Academy, or Jedi Knight, Jedi 2, was it Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy? Also, Obi-Wan, Battlefront, was it Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2? All of that is going to be included. Every single one. We're going from Xbox original all the way through Xbox Series X. So every single platform. So
that's what I'm taking notes too on, the ones that I haven't played yet. And I will give one spoiler away, that I was extremely happy that Jedi
mm,
Power Battles made it into the C category, because I thought you were going to put it in trash, dude. I
no, no,
thought
I,
you were.
I had to be fair. Like, there's only one trash PlayStation Star Wars game, and you know what it is. It's Masters of Terrascasi. That game is garbage. Like, by design, like that game is just not good. It's
Dude,
it's actually ass.
I
Like it's
didn't know
horrible.
about it, and I was reading some of the comments on your YouTube video too, and going along with what you were saying, like, what did you have to do? You had to beat the game on like the hardest mode to
No,
like,
what you had to do was you had to beat the game on Jedi difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty, with Chewbacca in order to unlock the basic feature of being able to choose the stage for versus mode. So, in order to choose your stage after choosing your character to fight against another person or the CPU in versus mode, you have to beat the game on the hardest difficulty already. And that's not even counting. You have to do that with most characters to unlock other characters or to unlock other features for it, like the sound test. It's like, come on now. Like by design, that's just horrible. Like I don't know how that got through beta testing. Like somebody should have smacked somebody else for coming up with such a stupid idea. But
how do
that's
you
the only
think
trash one.
how do you think that game in the social media world, if those were the rules now and that came out in
Oh, everybody would
23?
fail. Everybody would hate that. Like it would get like low scores across the board because it's such a stupid thing to do, to have someone like you have to beat the hardest difficulty of this game in order to unlock a basic feature. Because to me, that's a basic feature. That's something that's like if you go into versus mode, you should be able to choose your setting where you want to play on. You know, it's not like choosing a secret character. Like, okay, you want to force me to go through the hardest difficulty to find it like an extra character. Okay, I get it. Or to find an extra stage. I get it. Or to get bonus concept art. I get it. But not a basic feature to any sort of video game, especially a fighting game out there. That's
For
ridiculous.
selecting your level. That is wild. That
Yeah,
is
for real.
hilarious. Maybe there were some Dark Souls developers involved with that
They
game.
were absolute trash, like for real. But there was other games on there that weren't as bad as what people might expect me to say, because that might be the only trash game. But like I put a lot of games in like both C and D tier lists, for a lot of different ones. But there's a couple big standout ones that are in S tier, which I felt were deservingly so.
Yeah, I think your S tier is top. Is I totally agree with your S tier. Um, yeah, I'm just looking through it right now, and I'm just like sliding a couple in that like don't totally spoil it for anyone. Uh,
There's only one I can say that I did not include in the list, and it wasn't even my fault. It was because the image for the box art didn't load on Tier List Maker, and that was Revenge of the Sith. Because you would think like that's a big game on PlayStation 2, but since that had that little technical hiccup, what is it? I decided to talk about it in the Xbox game tier list that I had there, which funny enough, that one worked, which was
yeah,
stupid, but I even left a little note on the video in the description saying, like, look, this is where I would put Revenge of the Sith, and here's why. We'll talk about it in the next video. So that gives everybody a reason to check out the next video when it's finally out. But that's one of the first games I talk about on the Xbox tier list.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, games that are ranked in here where I'm not giving away where they're ranked. Episode 1, Phantom Menace. I played a ton of that, dude. I feel like that's a game where I didn't own it, but I rented it from Blockbuster
Mhm.
multiple times for some reason. It was just one of those games where I would be
Yeah.
like, I would rent it from Blockbuster, return it, and then like a couple weeks later, I'd be like, I want to rent this game again.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why I didn't buy it, but Jedi Starfighter is another one that
Yeah.
I logged a lot of hours on that game for some reason, man. That
Mhm.
was one that brought me in when I was younger, where I really enjoyed it. I really
It
enjoyed that
also has
game.
more content on the Xbox version, the special edition, because it's a little bit different on Xbox.
Yeah. Yeah, I have that case sitting up on on the shelf over there right now, and that was one of the random the Jedi Starfighter version I have was a blue disc version for PS2.
Yeah.
Which I never understood the difference between the blue disc and the black disc on PS2.
Oh, it's what is it? Those were the different printings for what is it for the PlayStation 2 disc? Like the first run was the blue disc, and then afterwards they got a little bit more towards the golder disc or the lighter disc
Yeah.
afterwards. Like those first like year of PlayStation 2 games had all the blue disc, the blue coating.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very very similar to like some other ones or other platforms. I think also Xbox maybe had something similar at one point, but I know like PlayStation 2 that was a specific thing for the launch titles.
I actually just had a weird hiccup with my PS2 here where I have a PS2 Slim that I usually use still. And I actually had two PS2 Slims.
Mm,
And I had a game I was trying to play. It was College Football 2007. It was just one of my
mm,
favorite games. I wanted to play it. Did not work on my PS2 Slim. I looked at the disc. I'm like, this disc looks fine. I'm like, there's scratched up discs that are running in this PS2 right now. It makes no sense to me.
mm.
So I grabbed the other PS2 Slim that I have, break that out of the closet, plug it in, set it up, throw the disc in there. It doesn't work. I'm like, I'm looking online. What the hell is going on? People are saying that it could be just your game is just
Laser.
not working with the laser, even though
Yeah.
all these other games work with it.
Yeah,
This game is not
it's a
making the
stupid
laser
thing.
happy.
That happens all the time.
So I go in the closet and I break out the original PS2.
The brick.
I break out the brick, dude, and I'm like, "You're my last hope." I slide out the tray, dude. I haven't fired that guy up in like I don't know how long. When I took it
Mm,
out, dude, I gave it a good cleaning. I set her up because that's my original PS2. That thing was the first one I ever got. I plugged it in, man, hit that switch in the back, the fan turned on, hit the disc tray, threw that game in there, and it freaking worked. I'm
that's
like,
surprising.
I'm like, good old reliable, man.
That's surprising because those old, like fatter PS2s had the disc reader, especially during the launch period when
Yeah,
those consoles came out, because the disc wasn't as strong compared to the ones later on. So technically, the Slim should have played it no problem, but whatever
yeah,
works.
yeah. Yeah, it's weird. That's why I have three PlayStation 2s for no reason. I forget the reason why I got a second Slim, but man, I switched to Xbox when it came to 360, when it came to
Mm,
Xbox 360 versus PS3, which I was like arguing with people about PlayStation all the time because I didn't have an N64 when I was really young. I got one late.
mm,
And I was always telling people, I'm like, PlayStation's the best. Screw N64. I love PlayStation. When GameCube came out, I'm like, PS2 is the best. Like, I was always hyping PlayStation. So
mm.
these Spider-Man games are what might get me back into the PlayStation world,
It's
man.
looking dope. It's looking a lot really dope. And again, I can't wait to play that soon. But I ended up having an N64, like, because I got it during Christmas and like 96, 97. Because my first game on N64 was Shadows of the Empire. And then my second was Turok Dinosaur Hunter. So I got that one specifically for Shadows of the Empire, but also for some of the other Nintendo games like Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, etc. Like that. But then I went from N64, I went to PlayStation 2. I didn't get a PS1 because I had friends that had a PS1 at the time. And then from PS2, I ended up getting Xbox 360 later on afterwards because I had friends that had the original Xbox. So I'd go to their place and play those games.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what's funny too is like, for some reason, I was like, in my mind, it was like, I'm team PlayStation, screw everyone else. Like, even when it
Yeah,
came
everybody
to
was
the
like that
original,
back then. It was
yeah,
stupid. Everybody was
yeah,
like that during the console wars from Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. It's an old way of thinking.
it is because I love all of them because they're all great in their own way,
Yeah.
and it was Halo that pulled me towards Xbox, and there
Mm,
were there at that time when it came from 360 to Xbox One, there wasn't much that made me feel like I was missing out on something console wise because I felt like a lot of games, like I felt like Xbox's exclusives at the time. I'm like going into my gaming history randomly from this list, but I mean, it's just
yeah.
bringing me back. There were games on Xbox like Gears of War, Halo, stuff like that that was just pulling me in that
Same.
direction.
Big same.
I remember putting a 360 on one of our like box TVs that we had in our basement and
Oh,
playing
two
Gears on
TVs.
it. Dude, we were playing Gears on like a 90s TV.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, we're in the
Gears was
middle
my
of
first
playing it.
360 game that I played because when I got it 360, I originally got it for Halo 3 when Halo 3 was coming out, but my first game was Gears of War. like that. And then
Yeah.
I ended up getting the legendary edition of Halo 3 that I bought. I went to that launch at the GameStop in White Plains in order to pick up my helmet and everything else with it. So I went to college with this giant box, go to my college classes, then ride the bus back home with this giant box. It was pretty wild, but it was fun back then. Like my first PS2 games was like Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex. Yeah, The Wrath of Cortex and Test Drive Off Road. And then my first 360 games was Gears of War and Halo 3.
I'm trying to I'm gonna try to show you what I saw in my Target today. I'm gonna try to bring it up on the live stream here because I couldn't believe it when I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
It was in Target.
Does it relate to Xbox or?
Yes, it does. It relates to Xbox. Let me share my screen. We're gonna bring up a window here.
Yeah, but yeah, those were I wanted to get into the Xbox ecosystem because I had been with the other two for so long. And when I first played the original Xbox at a friend's place, I played it obviously for Halo 1 and Halo 2 and Dead or Alive as well, and then also Revenge of the Sith, because amongst Star Wars friends. But I used to go to was it stores that were like hobby stores where they used to play Magic the Gathering and stuff and other games. But they used to have LAN setups for original Xboxes. We used to play big games of Halo 1 and Halo 2 multiplayer. And that was like really, really fun for me, and then obviously in my household, I didn't have internet, but we had Xbox Live at those different stores. So we were able to play online. So I was able to play Battlefront 1 online for like the very first time in a place like that.
Yeah, that is freaking awesome. I'm trying to bring
old school, like old school mentality. Like when you didn't have a platform where you didn't have a lot of money to get a platform, you went to play someplace to go play it, or a friend's house that had the opposite platform. That's a very 90s way of thinking almost.
Absolutely. And that's what I'll just show it from my phone because I'm just having issues and I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah, that's a 360 box. That's a Halo 3 package or bundle.
This was at Target. It is a Lego style set where you
I know what that is. Okay, I've seen that. I saw the advertisements for that. Okay. I thought that because again, it's on a phone. Like I thought it was just like a shot of the box. But yeah, on the inside, like it has all the parts and stuff.
Yeah, it has all the parts.
Like this tray.
Controller lights up, disc tray. It comes with like the
it comes
Halo
with
3.
like a phony Halo 3 disc. It's pretty funny. Like it's cute because they've done something similar, obviously, with the Nintendo, the NES with the Tube TV, which is cute. So I mean, it's funny for collectors that love building Legos.
Yeah, that's what this is. This one is made by Mega Bloks. So it's not Lego.
Because they have the Halo license,
Mega Bloks. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, dude, that just seeing that box just because it was like they really constructed it to be the original 360 sale box.
Yep,
I saw that and I was like,
I remember carrying that back home.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking of Lego, you recently built a Lego on
I have it up. You can't see it now on the camera and stuff or on the podcast, but I have a Lego BD1.
I love it, dude. I love it. And
I got it for a good deal and I wanted to get it for a while. So when I saw it on sale on Amazon, I was like, I got to get this. Like, because I love Jedi Fallen Order. And I wanted to get an R2D2, but a lot of these Lego sets are expensive. So when I saw that one, I was like, I jumped on it immediately.
Yeah.
And I made videos about it too, which is cool.
You can't, if you got that BD for under $100, you can't beat that.
Oh, dude, I got it for less than that.
Yeah.
I got it for a lot less than that. I got it for under like $70 to $60.
Yeah. That's a hell of a deal because I'm pretty sure that's a 1-to-1 scale model. Like, I think if you were to sit it on your shoulder, it makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. Cause I think in the box, I don't have the box around me, but I know that the box has like the actual like measurements of it. And I think it's 1-to-1 for what BD would actually be.
Yeah. And that R2 that you were talking about, I actually saw that when I was browsing Target today, which I have my own problems with Lego's pricing because right next to it, they have the new Chewbacca model that they came out with, which is 18 inches tall or something like that.
Dude, they get expensive.
Yeah. That is $200. That's exact same piece count as R2. And that R2 came out at $200. But then when Lego sent out their info about, hey guys, inflation's happening, this R2 that was $199 is now $239.
Yeah, it's insane. They get if I had the extra money to burn and I was going to get Lego sets, I would get the ships. Like I would get the AT-ET, from from the Clone
Yeah.
Wars, like that big whole set like that, or an AT-AT. Like, yeah, like that one. Because I know
I got the
you talked about.
ATT back here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I would get that, or I would get an X-wing, or I would get a TIE, because the TIE fighters are pretty cheap, or Slave One, or
Hmm.
what they call Boba Fett Starship on the box. But like that
Yeah.
version of Slave One, like that is like under 40 or $50, which is
Yeah,
not
and
that
that's a
bad.
good and it's a good looking model of that one too.
Yeah,
That's why Lego it's so funny because I've been a Lego fan for a long time. I'm surrounded by
same.
Legos at
I
my
love
desk
Lego.
here.
Lego's awesome.
It's to me, it's like if I'm reaching like a creative block or anything, the way I get out of it is I'm just like, I need to shut my brain off, either throw something on the TV, throw some music on, throw the instructions down, and just build a Lego. And
Yeah.
sometimes that can like get me out of a creative funk, as funny as it sounds.
Hmm.
Because like, me and you both, like we create content and stuff like that. It's like sometimes you can hit like blocks where you're just like, I need the next thing and you like can't find it. And the funny thing
Yeah.
for me is it's like Lego crosses that bridge for me when I get to that point where I can just sit there, shut my brain down, and it's like it's almost like I guess you could say like a little Lego therapy session for me where I'm just like
Hmm.
chilling and doing that. Like that's why I enjoy it so much. And I'm doing this helmet series where I just built Captain Rex.
Yeah, it's super chill.
Yeah.
It's I like it. I have what is it? I bought my brother as a gift. I got him the Boba Fett helmet like that. Eventually, at some point, I want to get the Darth Vader one for myself, because he at one year he gave me the Lego Batman helmet, the cowl. So I built that and I have it up on my mantle with all
Yeah.
my Batman collectible stuff. But those are chill to make. But again, if I had the extra money to burn, I would get one of the ships, because I feel like the ships, they're a little bit more worth it. Maybe a little bit much more better builds than some of like the sets. Like there's the Cantina set, there's the whole Luke Skywalker Mando hallway, and a few other stuff, or a few other like sets that are pretty good, but they're just way too pricey.
Yeah. Yeah. No matter what, if you wait for Legos, if you wait like probably 6 to 8 months after they come out, you're going to get a solid discount on it at some point. They're going to drop it by $15, $20.
Yeah.
That's why it's like for the helmet series, I heard that the last set was the last group of helmets that came out was going to be the end of this helmet series
Oh, really?
with the Boba Fett and everything. Yeah, I
No,
heard
even
that.
the Vader, Boba Fett, and then there's the Stormtrooper helmet, and then
Yeah,
there's the Dark Trooper helmet. I remember I saw, and
that's why.
the Red 5 helmet as well.
Yeah, this was the first thing where I was like, I want every single one of these, and I made it my goal, and I have all of them. I only have I only have
Then there's
5 to go.
Mando, I think also.
Yeah, Mando. Mando, I need to build Mando. I need to build dude, the sneaky one of my sneaky favorites is the Scout Trooper helmet.
Yeah.
Like it is awesome. Like that it is like perfect model of a Scout Trooper helmet. The Vader one is sick. That was hard to build though, actually,
Mm.
because the Vader helmet is by far the most pieces out of all of them.
Yeah, no,
Vader's
'cause it's
helmet
like
had
80
like
bucks I
200.
saw. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, it's probably a lot more stuff in it.
Yeah, he has like 200 more pieces just for the fact that he almost has like his chest with that chain kind of that goes
Mm.
around his
Gotcha.
armor, and also like his back of his helmet flares out more. But dude, that is all black pieces, and you got to sit there and separate those out because they're
Yeah.
going to be like your mind's going to be
Imagine.
scrambling. It was a tough build because stuff started to blend in a little bit on it, and it
Mm.
was like you had to keep your eye on where you were throwing them parts. But
Gotcha.
yeah, the recent line they just came out with Commander Cody, the Princess Leia Boosh helmet
Yeah, the
is that
Bosch helmet. Yeah.
Bosch helmet, and then Commander Cody, Princess
Rex, right?
Leia, and Rex. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are the latest ones that came out with, and I've heard rumors that they're just like that's the end of it.
I,
Which
I
I was
wouldn't
like,
blame them, because I mean, how many people are really going to buy that? Like,
yeah,
when you really think about it.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, I jumped on them because the TIE pilot helmet, for some reason, there's a couple parts in it that are just exclusive to that set. Those sell for over $400 online.
What?
Yeah.
That's
Because
wild.
they have on the top of the helmet that Empire logo that sits
Mm.
on the top side. And apparently Lego's never made a piece like that before. And there's Lego fans out there who just like there's people who will buy that ATTE behind me, take all the minifigures and just sell the box for the ship for like half the price because they just want the minifigures.
Yeah.
Like
Well, because
I'm
they
not.
try to build those giant clone trooper
Oh
army
yeah,
sets of like people. They're wild, man.
yeah, yeah. There's some wild mock builders out there, dude. I mean, one day in my mind, I'd like to envision me trying to do that, but I don't know. I just don't have the time. I've got like 8 unopened Lego boxes sitting next to me that I need to build still. So, like you said
True.
though, the ships always bring me the most joy to build
Yeah.
out of anything.
They take me back to when I was a kid watching the commercials, for
Yeah,
different stuff like the Lego commercials, the Lego Maniac commercials, of the mid 90s. Like they're really great.
I love it. I love it. So, I haven't watched Loki yet. I'm dropping the ball there. How are you enjoying Loki so far?
Loki is confusing, man. Like again, that's a show that I'm very indifferent on. Like I'm watching a couple shows. I'm watching Loki, watching Gen V as well, and I might pick up another show at some point too, just to binge until some of these other shows come out. Because I know Loki's tomorrow at
Gen
one
V.
point.
How is Gen V, dude? I'm a
Gen V
big
is
fan of the
dope.
boys.
Gen V is dope because I was lucky enough. I got to see the first 2 episodes in a theater. I got invited to go to a Amazon Prime screening for that, and I saw that. And it was fun. It was awkward. If you've ever seen the first 2 episodes, like some of the stuff that happens in there. Imagine seeing that awkward stuff with an audience of people with you, and it's just mad. It's not comfortable. Let me put it that way. But the show itself is really good. I think that it might not be everybody's cup of tea, especially if you're not into the boys, but it's definitely within the same line and vibe as that show. And this is going to lead into the next season of the boys, which is cool.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, the boys is one of my favorite shows. Like I love the
It's
boys.
great. The boys is great, man. Like there's some crazy stuff that happens in it, but
Yeah.
it's a fun watch to see on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. To me, the boys is like the perfect mix of like absolutely ridiculous, like bloody things happening
Mhm.
sometimes.
And Gen V's like that.
Yeah.
Imagine that in a college setting, though. Like
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
college drama and
Oh
that
my
nonsense, like
God, dude.
superhero nonsense from the boys with Voltnek. Yeah, I think it's Voltec or whatnot.
Yeah.
The company. It's a recipe for ridiculousness.
Yeah. Because the boys can go from like making you laugh your ass off to being like incredibly serious too. And that's
Yeah.
what I like that the show's been able to do is it's like you love the characters in it and like fun stuff happens, but then also really screwed up stuff happens that
Oh
can
yeah,
just
there's some
piss you
screwed
off
up things in
sometimes,
Gen
dude.
V. There's some real I can't say it, but there's some really screwed up things in Gen V that are absolutely insane. That if you're a little bit squeamish or you just don't like certain stuff, like you might not get it, but everybody else will be like, "Oh my god, it's horrible." Like it's wild.
Yeah, dude. You know what? In my opinion, I saw your post on that. I feel like Prime is dropping the ball on advertising that because I have Fire Sticks all in my house and
Mm.
I feel like I've hardly seen any ads for
There's
it.
ads for it. There's stuff on TikTok. I've seen stuff on Twitter, and I've seen stuff on was it on YouTube randomly.
Maybe it's just
Maybe
not
not
catching my
much because
eye.
maybe it's got to be dealing with the watch history and stuff. Because I know I've seen like a bunch of it, especially on TikTok. TikTok, I've seen it. I've seen a couple trailers and like random ads that they'll put up about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one that I definitely need to check out. But yeah, Loki, I really enjoyed the first season of Loki, but for some reason it's like watch wise right now, it's like I'm going back. I never saw the show Band of Brothers, and I'm watching that on
Mm.
Netflix right
Band
now.
of Brothers is
So
pretty good.
yeah. Yeah, it's good. Some good World War II action from a pretty cool point of view. So that's what I've been viewing
I
lately.
feel like with Loki, I feel like it's confusing now and things are going to make more sense as we get towards the end of it because I think it's only like 5 or 6 episodes. It's really not a lot. And some people that reviewed it, but early, as media and stuff, they said they got to review the first 4 episodes or 5 episodes, and then they just didn't get the season finale. And they said it gets much better as you go into it. But I'm just feeling like really confused right now to the point where it's like there's certain things that either don't make sense or just so like weird to me. Whereas like I'm hoping you give me an explanation for this because if this doesn't do all that well and people don't care about it as much, it's not looking good for the MCU, especially now that after this, the Marvels is the next project. And I don't think a lot of people are going to like that movie when that movie
Yeah.
comes out. I think its projections are bad, but I think also just the conversations around it are it's really a product of their own doing, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
Yeah, I finally I dropped the ball and never got to theaters to see Guardians 3 and I finally watched that, right when that came out on Disney Plus. That was one that
Mhm.
I watched right away, which that gave me the old vibes of old Marvel, but at the same time, it's like at the end of it I'm just like, all right, I enjoyed that, but like I don't know where we're going from here.
Yeah, I don't
You
know
know?
what's going on with phase 5 and 6. Like, this is supposed to be the multiverse saga, and a lot of these stories just do not have nothing to do with the multiverse. Loki's the only one that really addresses the multiverse stuff. Like, I mean, you could say the same thing about Spider-Man No Way Home, but even then, like, we're talking about what exactly is at stake, what is happening, who is it we're going to be dealing with, or where are we actually going, what direction, all that's coming really from Loki. It's not even, I wouldn't even say it's coming from WandaVision or anything. Like, all these other projects have just been like their own thing. Secret Invasion was the worst for everybody. Like, it was really bad and it had implications for the MCU that, like, it felt like somebody wasn't doing their job with the fact checking on that stuff. It puts everything in a very weird spot. And I feel bad for Samuel Jackson because he was in that. He's gonna be in the Marvels, which is, I'm hoping it's gonna be good. Did you see the thing about the trailer? The controversy about the trailer for the Marvels that came out
No.
recently? So, quick recap. There was a new teaser trailer or, like, hype trailer that came out for the Marvels that teases a Thor character that's showing up in that movie. And the reason why that is because at the very end of the trailer, there's a Bifrost that goes into Captain Marvel's ship. And some people are saying it's one of a few people. It's either Thor, or they're teasing Thor. And if it's not Thor and they're baiting and switching everybody, it could be Valkyrie, or it could be Lady Sif, or some people are wildly saying that it might be Beta Ray Bill. But the problem is, though, is that, number one, Chris Hemsworth came out and said that he's taking a little bit of a break because of what he's got going on right now. Number two, what is it? Valkyrie hasn't really had a whole lot of interactions with Captain Marvel. And even though people have wanted to see them paired up together for a long time, it kind of doesn't make sense because it's the Bifrost. There's only one thing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now that uses the Bifrost, and that's Stormbreaker. That's Thor's weapon.
Yeah.
Everything else, the original Bifrost is destroyed. It's not in Asgard anymore because Asgard's not around. There's new Asgard on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's the case, how the hell is that going on? Because it's like, okay, who else would have access to that power? Because Valkyrie doesn't have that. Lady Sif doesn't have that. Stormbreaker's the only one that could do it. So maybe they could explain that Thor helps out, send somebody over there, but he's got to have Stormbreaker to use the Bifrost.
Yeah.
It's a very weird spot, and there might be like a little bit of trickery going on try to get people to go see the Marvels. But that movie has a lot of problems and a lot of things they're gonna have to deal with.
Did you recently see the thing from Feige where he was like, it was a quote from him where he essentially said, like, I feel like we've only just scratched the surface, as far as
I saw that, and I also saw the whole thing about Secret Wars being a soft reboot about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I get. But the problem is, though, is like with everything that's happened now, where are we going towards with Secret Wars? Because I think the only movie that people are really excited about, and really it's not even about the MCU, is Deadpool 3 because of the X-Men coming back from the Fox universe and all the stuff that's going to happen in there that apparently is going to lead directly into Secret Wars. But keep in mind, we're not going to get Secret Wars for a while after that, because we still got the Fantastic Four. We still got to deal with Kang Dynasty, and who knows what's going to happen with Jonathan Majors with all that stuff going on. I mean, we got all these other projects and other series like Daredevil and Echo that we have to deal with as well.
Did you see the story about Daredevil's writers too and everything?
Oh yeah, they're totally going back to the drawing board with that. Like, they're doing a mulligan, which is not good. It's really not good to hear that right now. Like,
dude, I read that and I was like, oh God. I'm like, well, people are looking at this as a three-pointer here. Like,
this is a good and a bad thing because, number one, it could have been where that story, from what we saw from the Variety article, that story sounds like it was going to be very bad. I mean, Daredevil's not going to suit up until like the 4th episode. Are you kidding me? Like what is that? So that could be a good thing that we're getting a total redo on that. But also, the fact that you need to do a redo in the first place is not good news. Now, keep in mind, this isn't even addressing stuff like Blade. There's also the Eternals 2, apparently, which is a thing. Echo, which is just kind of going to be there. Nobody cares about that. Nobody even wanted that. Like, there's supposed to be a Doctor Strange movie as well. Like, there's a lot of weird stuff going on with this whole multiverse saga that feels like, I don't even think you could blame Kevin Feige for all this, because I feel like he's had to navigate a lot of things and he's stretched very thin. I mean, he didn't have to deal with originally the pandemic that happens, with the first 3 phases of Marvel. I mean, there's probably also a lot of stuff going on with Disney that he has to deal with as well that we probably don't know about, which is true, which is what we've seen in the spotlight. Because, I mean, there's news about Disney being sold to Apple, which is scary when you think about it. There's a lot of stuff going on right now that is affecting the MCU in ways that I don't think anybody could have predicted.
Yeah. No, I definitely see that. Dude, what's weird for me is like I really like Paul Rudd and
Yeah. Oh, damn, that Ant-Man movie was terrible, dude.
yeah,
Like,
dude,
I
I was
saw that in
watching it
theaters
on a
opening
flight.
day.
Yeah, I didn't see it in theaters. I was watching it on a flight and I was flying to Florida. I was flying to Fort Lauderdale. And it's a shorter flight and I didn't start the movie probably till like 20, 30 minutes into the flight. And when I landed, I didn't finish the movie, but I had no desire to go finish it actually. Like
Yeah, I
I
don't
was
blame you.
just like I was like, "What is this?" I'm
You're
like,
you're
This
not
is
really
weird."
missing much. Like, they allude a little bit to the multiverse, but again, with what's happening with Jonathan Majors throws such a big wrench into everything because they were centering a lot of stuff around him between Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. He was getting bigged up big time, and he's in Loki too. On top of that, so God forbid he ends up getting convicted of something that he did. Right now, they got to totally shift up what's happening with the MCU after that because you can't use Kang at that point. I mean, even if you recast him, like there's just such a bad taste in everybody's mouth off of that. I really hope that if they end up like shifting things around, that they probably center it around Doctor Doom. Real talk. Like, because keep in mind, we got the Fantastic Four movie coming around, and Doctor Doom is not even really going to be a part of that. It's going to be Galactus, with a different herald. It's not even the Silver Surfer, so
Mhm.
there's a lot of weirdness going on.
Yeah. I'm really hoping that Deadpool just like stays true to what it was for the first two movies and like you can just sit back cuz honestly Deadpool 2 might be the most I've ever laughed at a movie when I
Oh,
was in theaters watching that dude. When they did the team the X team or whatever
the
when
X
they
Force.
jumped yeah,
I
X
mean,
Force.
that was whack because it was just kind of like a cheap gag, but it's in line with Deadpool. But again, it really tells you something where that's the movie that everybody's excited about, and it's not even about the MCU. It's
Yeah.
the fact that the X-Men, and now you also heard the news that they're already looking for writers for X-Men now. Like, at least they're doing something, and they said they're doing something for X-Men, which is progress. But it's like, how can you really get hyped up for that unless it's going to be part of Secret Wars, let alone like affecting what this multiverse saga is?
Here's a comment from Alfie. Waiting for Spider-Man 10 found a way home. All of the OG
That's the
Avengers
other
will
thing
come
too.
back.
There's another Spider-Man. There's a Spider-Man 4 being made right now, which, with everything that happened from No Way Home, how are they going to address that? Like, there's a lot of stuff, and then that's not even counting the Craven movie. Forget it. I don't think that movie's going to be good at all. They
Yeah.
got rid of that El Fuerte movie or whatever. The
Mhm.
dude that was supposed to be Bad Bunny, they canceled that movie. Thank God, because nobody wanted that movie. And I mean, we're gonna get another Venom movie at some point, which is, I don't even know what to say. Like, they're still doing Madam Web. Madam Web. Oh my god! Like, why are we even getting this movie? Like,
Yeah.
at all? Like, it just makes no sense. The only one that's Spider-Man related, that's not Spider-Man 4, that I'm down with, is whatever the next Beyond the Spider-Verse movie is going to be. Yeah, the Across Spider-Verse or Beyond the Spider-Verse, the next
Mhm.
one for that one. Which
Oh, yeah.
that
Those
second
are
movie was
those are
great.
excellent.
Those
Yeah.
are awesome, but we're not going to see that for a good number of years.
Yeah. I
Until they
look at
finish.
them as their just own standalone art
Yeah,
when it comes to all of this, where those like, that second movie was excellent,
it was
and if
good.
if anyone hasn't seen it, you should
I
check
saw
them
that
out.
in opening day, and I went to the Dolby Theater at my AMC theater, and it was fun. It was great because it looked gorgeous. It sounded great.
Yeah.
That song from Metro Boomin. It's a
Yeah.
great. They are on point with the soundtrack of those movies because he had a
They
hit
are.
in the first one, "What Up Danger," and then that one, "Am I Dreaming," which is freaking fantastic.
Yeah. Am I Dreaming was a banger and What Up Danger. Dude, even like my son, that's what got him really into Spider-Man and he still listens to those soundtracks all the
Oh yeah,
time.
they're so
Like
good. They're
What's Up
amazing.
Danger is like if you want to get fired up, dude, throw on What's
Yeah.
Up Danger. Like that'll freaking
For
but
my birthday, when I took a trip, took a trip over to, was it a little bit up north towards Tampa? I was listening to "Am I Dreaming" for most of the time because I was like, I usually get a couple songs that are like the soundtrack for my birthday that I listen to on my iPod, and "Am I Dreaming" was like the big one for me.
oh yeah.
I had on there.
That was a great one, dude. I mean, you had Sunflower on the first.
Yeah, "Sunflower's"
Yeah.
great.
Um what's the other one?
Was it? I think no, it's not called "Chatting." It's the one when him and Gwen are talking. I forgot the name of the song, but that one's another banger on the second movie soundtrack.
Yeah.
And then even the music for Spider-Man 2099, that whole
Yeah.
like violin thing.
Yeah, dude. Th they've found a special thing where they have a character and they're building him in a great way. They have a soundtrack and an artist who is growing with the
Yeah.
character. The
It's
music
the urban
blends.
sound that matches with the character because again, so Miles is a Puerto Rican and black, you know,
Yeah.
that they really try to implement a lot of that culture and really the music of the cultures into it, and it just works well with it because there's a lot of urban hip hop slash dance and was it techno track or
Yeah.
techno like types of music that are injected into those movies, which work, which are so cool because it goes with the crazy visuals, which is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, seeing that in theaters was excellent. I remember my kids, I feel like it was right around when they got out of school. And I was like, we're going and seeing Spider-Man. And the two of them just sat like they're younger, man. And
Dude,
they
I
just sat there
regret
locked
I didn't
in.
get the popcorn tins. Like there was 2
Oh,
popcorn tins that I saw there. I didn't get them and I wanted to, but I had to restrain myself, but I wish I could have gotten them because those things sold out like crazy, but they were
I,
expensive.
I was gonna say, are those popcorn tins gone day one for these movies? Like,
Sometimes, not always. Like there's some popcorn tins that are just there, like the Fast X one is still there with the car from Toledo. There's also when I got the Batman one, those went out pretty fast for the Batman.
the cowl,
The
right? It was a
Yeah, the
cowl, a
cowl. I
Batman.
still have it.
Yeah.
I have it up there, but what is it? The Transformers one that was Optimus Prime went pretty fast. The Beyond the Spider Verse ones went pretty fast. The one for Guardians, which was the big like chest with Rocket on there, those lingered around. It's just they were so expensive. And the Barbie one was also another one. It was the Barbie Cadillac or whatever, the Corvette or whatever that she had. But it was still a lot of those they just linger because they get it was it really pricey and stuff. Like usually some of them will be around 29 to like 39.99, give or take, like that. But then some of those other ones are like 50, $60, which is like, okay, it's a little bit much. I mean, they give you popcorn and stuff with it, but it's like, come on now. Like you're getting into pretty crazy territory with that. They even had one for Taylor Swift. They had a popcorn bucket for the Taylor Swift Eras tour.
Alfie said for Solo, they wouldn't sell me a second one. There was cases of them.
Hmm. I got the Rogue One popcorn bucket. I went to see Rogue One.
Yeah, dude, I didn't know about these popcorn buckets until like I started seeing your videos where you're going to AMC and you were showing those
Oh
like
yeah, I got the
special.
Mario one. I did the
Oh
Mario.
yeah.
I think you see the Mario one like right here, the little question
Oh
mark.
yeah.
I got
Yeah.
the Super Mario Brothers. I got that, and then the other on the other side, I have the Rogue One popcorn bucket. But again, like I don't get all of them, even though I go to the theater a lot. And if I had more money to burn on it, I probably would. But they just get very pricey and they add up. Because remember, you still got to buy the popcorn and the snacks with it. It's not like they give it to you.
Did AMC finally share one of your videos too of you going there? I feel like I saw
Yeah, a
either they
while back,
commented or they
when I
they
went to go
shared
see
one.
Doctor Strange, that was another one that had a popcorn bucket, which is the light up one. But I went to go see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and they used my video as a part of their collage or a compilation of videos for that. I wish that they would share my videos or partner with me. That'd be dope since I'm there all the time. But
I know. You're in the
I keep
theater, dude. I
keep
love it.
hitting them up. I'm like, yo, I'm out here. My AMC. I call it my AMC, which is just the AMC theater that just happens to be right there. But
Yeah.
still, like I go there a lot. So and
I was gonna say you might be on a name basis there at this point.
yeah, the bartender that's there for the MacGuffin's bar.
Oh,
That guy
dude.
knows me. He always
I'm a
takes good care of me with the drinks.
I'm a big MacGuffins fan. I do
I
love the
get
fact
I don't get all the drinks, but I do get some of the themed drinks whenever there's a big movie. Like when I go to see the Marvels, I'm pretty sure they're gonna have one. When I went for Black Panther Wakanda Forever, I got that drink. I got the one for Doctor Strange. I got the one for Avatar at one point.
yeah,
For
the way of
Indiana
water
Jones.
drink looked awesome. I forget
Yeah.
what it was
Well, the only
called, but
problem
that was
was I didn't get the sparkles in the Avatar drink because for whatever reason, AMC doesn't always give all their like supplies for certain drinks and condiments to all the theaters, which is stupid because I wanted that sparkle, the edible
yeah.
like glitter or whatever.
Yeah, that was one where I almost got that. I'm usually more of a beer guy, but those mixed drinks I'm always like are very close to pulling me in, honestly.
Some of them are good, not all of them, but some of them are pretty darn good. Like
This is giving me
the
flashbacks.
Terramana one for Black Adam, I thought was whack. The one for the Rock that for Black Adam, that one wasn't that great.
Really?
Yeah, it was like it was with Terramana and a few other things in it. And it was like, okay, this is kind of overhyped. Wasn't all that good. It's like Rock, come on, you're supposed to have a better drink. Come on now.
That's why I was sitting there looking at MacGuffins and the Ahsoka freaking episode 5 premiere, man. They even had one of those things where they had the Ahsoka logo on it where you could
Oh,
take your
you're
picture
kidding.
at it. It looked like, the red
The
carpet
pop up.
going
Oh
in going
man,
into the Dolby Theater, man. MacGuffin was there. Dude, there were people who were pissed. I was
I don't
just like
blame them.
I was
I
like
really,
I was like, you know what? I feel like they screwed the girl over who was doing the tickets because you could tell she was honestly like afraid when they ran
Well, I
out.
mean, that's not her fault. That's
Yeah.
the theater's fault. Like nobody should give her a hard time. You know what I mean?
Dude, when they called it, the guys who were in front of me, they had like an Ahsoka like stand for like the premiere on her
Mhm.
desk, and then they had like they were giving out posters
Oh yeah,
to everybody who got to go in. You got a poster, and it had Anakin on the poster.
yeah. I remember that.
So I was like still waiting in line. She calls it, and then like it turned into bedlam. And then it was like some people just walked up and grabbed the rest of the posters. I'm
Yeah,
like,
because
dude,
they were
I would have been
upset.
able, yeah, I'm like, I would have been able to get one of those if I just was in line. I think they took like multiple posters. Dude, they took everything from that lady's desk. They
Yeah,
took
that's
her little
nuts.
plastic display stand. Like they took everything.
Dude, there was a guy that I saw on TikTok that because of the Taylor Swift concert, he stole the giant standee of the Taylor Swift concert. He tried to run out the theater with it, and he's getting chased by the security guard down these stairs. It was ridiculous. Some people got to stop. Like, some people got to relax and not use like stupid thinking with stuff
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah, I was, don't get me wrong, like I was upset, and I remember that night I started the podcast on here by myself and went on like a rant about how annoyed I was at the fact that they overbooked it by as much as they did. Because I
Mm,
just think it's wrong to take people's time and waste it like that.
yeah.
Hundreds of people.
Yeah. If you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all. Like,
Yeah,
straight
there
up.
was there was one guy who was behind me who was like, he's like, I just drove like 3 hours here.
Yeah, I would have never did that. That at that point, that's stupid on his part because
Yeah.
there's no reason to do that at all. Because like again, they didn't even have one down here in Miami, like at all. It's like in Florida, the biggest places, the big cities is Orlando, Tampa, and Miami. So
Yeah.
you would think that if you're gonna do something like for a movie release and stuff, because there's a lot of big movie premieres and screenings, early screenings in Miami
You've
that they
got a
have.
nice theater too. I've seen your
Yeah, we
videos
have
of
a
your
big
theater.
nice
Your
theater,
your
but
theater is nice.
you would think they would have that, but they didn't do it for Ahsoka. And it's like, come on now. Like, if you're not going to do it in multiple locations, just don't do it at all. At that point, don't even bother doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope that's like a little lesson to them to be like, yo, do this more often. You guys can make more money. If money's your issue, Bob and Disney, if money's your issue, throw out a mid-season episode in the theater where maybe you sell it at like a discounted
Or season
price or
finale.
something. Yeah,
Or
or
season
season
finale. But
finale.
don't charge people an arm and a leg because I don't think people should be paying like $15, $20 for that. Like
No, I
that's
think it should be cheaper than a movie cost. I think it should be $8,
seven,
$9.
7 to 10, like I
Yeah.
would say. That's fair because that's standard movies prices mostly.
Yeah.
But like, it's kind of like the Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods anniversary they just did. That movie in its standard digital format is $15. It's like, why the heck am I going to go see that for $15? That makes no sense.
Yeah, no, to me it's like do these finales in theaters, charge a little bit less, but people are still going to buy popcorn. They're still going to buy
Yeah,
drinks,
of
like you're
course.
going to make your money and it's no sweat off Disney's back. It's an easy quick release and then after, the finale weekend, say you only release it in the theater for 2 or 3 days,
Yeah,
you don't like I don't know about one day because maybe some people will go to see it on a Saturday instead of or depending on what day the finale is. Maybe some people see it on Wednesday instead of Tuesday. But people will pay to see that,
yeah,
regardless of even what's going on with the season. I mean, season 6 episode. What was Ahsoka? Was Ahsoka 8 episodes or
yeah. It was
something?
8 episodes.
8 episodes. Episode 8 of Ahsoka would have had people. They would have had asses in the seats in the movie theaters.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. It's just me. I'm going to Disney in about a month right now.
Oh,
So
word. Are you going
yeah,
to Galaxy's Edge?
going to Galaxy's Edge again. This will be
Are you
my
doing
second
anything?
time. I'm going to be more experienced. I already have a cantina reservation, dude.
Okay. Are you doing a lightsaber building?
I don't know if I'm going to do it or not because honestly, if I'm there, I want to get into the store because if
Mhm.
I were to get a lightsaber, I want Mace Windu's lightsaber. It's one
Yeah,
that
but you're
I've
going to be
always
paying the
wanted.
same amount, if not more,
I know.
than the actual experience.
I know. I don't know. I don't know.
I think that if you're going to pay those prices like that, do the experience because it was worth it for me when I did it because I did everything when I went. And the only one I would say that if you had to cut something, don't do the droid experience because the droid experience, even though it's $100, you get the RC droid that you build yourself. It's not the same type of experience that you get with the lightsaber. You get more with the lightsaber, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I definitely would enjoy it. I'm I'm thinking about it. It's probably booked for me at this point.
No, I'm pretty sure
But
you can find a resident. I'm pretty sure you can find it.
I dropped the ball with the cantina the first time I went because I was like, I'm going in blind. I don't want to know anything about this, and
Mhm.
it was like I needed to plan before
Yeah,
going in there.
it sucks that you have to make a reservation for that. That's annoying.
Hmm.
Real talk, like, because that other spot that's there, that's the other food spot right next to it, is where you could just walk up and just get whatever you want.
What is
Where
that,
you
like
get
Tonto's Grill or something like that?
something, you could get the Ronto wraps there. You could get other stuff.
Yeah.
I had breakfast there even because they had like different like stuff you could get for breakfast, and then later on they changed to like the lunch and dinner menu. But you don't need a reservation for that. It's the one that has the big turbine from the pod racer
Yeah.
cooking a big Ronto meat or whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't need reservations for that. But I was able to go to that in the midst of all the other appointments and stuff.
That's why I went like I went with just my family, and now I'm going with like extended family on this trip. So I'm kind of excited because I want to get some of them on the Millennium Falcon ride. I think it would be
Oh,
fun to
dude.
be on it with
I
like
told you I
full
got to
crew.
ride that so many times. I got to ride it alone. That was
Yeah,
dude, that
that
was
is
awesome.
sick. That
Dude,
is
I'll
sick.
tell you right now, I was so like in cloud nine with it because I was alone on the fucking. I was on the pilot seat, like because it was so early in the morning. I was like I was a smart guy to do it because everybody went to Rise of the Resistance. I was like, okay, so I'm doing that. I'm gonna go to this one over
Yeah,
here. Nobody was on it. I was like, yes, let's go. And then I went to Rise of the Resistance afterwards and got on it.
yeah.
That was good.
That's what Rise was what I went to first, and I had a fast pass for Falcon. And me
Mm.
and my son actually were lucky enough to get in the pilot seat, so it was
Yeah,
fun.
dude.
He was younger at that time though, dude, and I was worried. I was worried because I was like, I wonder how much like our piloting actually is going to affect this ride, because I was like, I hope he's not messing with the joystick and like making a bad experience for the people behind us if they didn't have a fast pass and waited for like an hour and a half to have me and a 4-year-old
Well,
driving the
that's on
ship.
them.
But
Doesn't
yeah,
matter. Doesn't matter. You got the
exactly,
good seats. The only
dude. The
thing I
best.
didn't do was Chewy mode because I didn't know about it until after my trip.
I don't know what that is actually.
Chewy mode, what happens is that if you and a full group of people, you actually hit certain buttons right at the start of the ride, you actually activate Chewy mode, which I think is a little bit tougher or a little bit different than what it is. I think in some cases you even get Chewbacca that appears as, walks into the thing like that. And then you get to actually, ride the ride again, just do whatever it is. It's just a little bit different than the standard one.
Yeah, that's what
You gotta look up the specific details. I know there's like a certain thing for doing it that you get.
I'm doing like this trip has been planned for like a year and a half. I'm doing Disney and then the Disney Wish cruise. So I'm
Oh,
gonna go
dude,
to the
you gotta go to the
Hyperspace
Star
Lounge.
Wars lounge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
please
gonna
get
be
the
a trip.
Senate drink. Get the Senate drink and get like something else like really good there. The only thing you can't get is that you won't be able to get the Bacta drink because that thing is stupid expensive.
Yeah, what is it? $500
It's the
or
one
five,
with the canteen thing that opens up. It's like
or it's
almost
five
like a
thousand
grand.
dollars. It's a $5,000
Really?
drink,
I thought it
isn't
was a
it?
grand.
Or $1,000.
It
It's
was.
like
It's
I know that
expensive
it's
as
something
hell.
stupid.
It's expensive as hell, like for no reason. The only thing that it comes with is that it comes with the trip to the Skywalker Ranch. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah,
But
it's
yo, get the
wild.
Senate drink because then you can walk around saying that you are the Senate.
I
Literally.
know. I want to try to see if I can live stream from my phone when I go in there,
Oh,
just to
they got
like
Wi-Fi.
show what the vibe is like
Yeah,
inside
they got
that room.
Wi-Fi or
Yeah.
record video of it for YouTube later. Like you have to at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited, dude. I mean, we booked this trip like right around when the Wish came out, and it's
Mm,
like it felt like one of those vacations where it was like this is just never going to happen, and now here I am like a month away from it. So,
nice.
I'm going to Disney end of November, beginning of December. Well, Joe,
I'll tell you one place you won't be going that nobody
Joe,
else.
we're probably going to be there at the same time, buddy. I don't know why you're
Oh,
telling me this for the first time.
uh,
I'm
I'll
leaving
tell
the
you
day
one
after
place though
Thanksgiving.
that nobody's going to be able to go to anymore.
What's that? Oh yeah,
The Star Cruiser.
yeah,
That's a rat on that one. That yeah, let's talk about that for a second
yeah,
because that's a shame. That's a real shame. And that's an L. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I saw a lot of videos, I saw a lot of things all about the Star Cruiser throughout the entire less than a year that it was around. And we talked a little bit about it when it shut down, but that's not a thing I don't think a lot of people should be bragging about that they went to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
and it's not me trying to tell people what to do with their money. It's not me trying to say you shouldn't be happy for the vacations you take. But as a Star Wars fan, when you really think about it, you paid an exorbitant amount of money for something that really didn't feel like Star Wars. Like, no matter how many, like how well people want to justify that, like when you objectively look at this thing, like it is really a massive L for both the franchise and for people that really tried to make that a thing. And
Yeah.
it's a shame. It's a damn shame. It's not something to be proud of on anybody's side. It's just kind of, this
And
felt like a waste.
even that amount of money that people were paying to go to it wasn't enough to keep it afloat,
Dude,
which is
people did that
insane.
multiple times. You realize like some people did that like 3, 4 times. That's like $15,000 minimum. That's insane, dude.
I'm buying a
For
car.
a 3-day trip, less than 3-day trip. You gotta be insane to drop money like that. Like, look, again, far be it from me or anybody else to tell you how to spend your money, but like that 15 grand, could be better spent in a much more profitable, much more fruitful experience or experiences,
Yeah.
multiple, plural.
The
Like,
cruise on the Disney Wish is a comparable price for per person to going on to that Star Cruiser. I think it
is
might
it,
be
is it
I
like
think it
five?
might be
Is it
less.
less than like a couple grand or around a couple
Yeah,
grand?
yeah, it's like a couple grand. I think it's less than what that
Yeah,
experience.
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's less than the 3 days you
And
spend
you're
in that.
going on a cruise to like the Bahamas and to
Yeah,
Castaway Key and all that stuff. Like, yeah, like
you get
you're
more
actually
authentic
going out
Star
in the
Wars in that
ocean.
lounge. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, my point is that this thing ended with a thump, and this thing ended with like a very mediocre standpoint because now none of that is really going to be used. Like that stuff, it's either going to be abandoned or it's hopefully going to be repurposed to something relevant or something useful. But it's like for that under a year, all this stuff really was such a massive L, and it's a shame because that could have been a thing that could have kept going. Like real talk, if it was a little bit more accessible to more people and it
Mhm.
was more geared towards more Star Wars fans than what they were trying to limit it to be, it could have been an ongoing thing and people would have
Absolutely.
gone multiple times. Real talk.
That's what I follow a Disney vlogger on YouTube. His name is Kyle Palo. I follow him on YouTube, and he recently was like, "There's an entrance into Galaxy's Edge from
Oh, the
the
big door. I
yeah."
saw that when I went. I saw the big door. It
So
was
they
there. It's like the
have
giant door that lifts up.
yeah. So now there's a tunnel there where it's still open, and you can go in, and it like goes down this hallway where like the hallway led to the Star Cruiser, and there's just a metal gate there. And there's
Yeah.
like there's people have been like tying ribbons onto the gate, like in remembrance of
Oh,
the
get
big.
out of here. Like,
I
you
swear
gotta
to
stop
God,
that.
dude.
Like, and again, feel however you want to feel, but let's be real. Like the people that have really spent money on that, it's not something to be proud of as a Star Wars fan. Like you paid an exorbitant amount of money for something that failed. That really wasn't. It wasn't even exclusive. Like, I mean, it was exclusive for the people that had the means to pay for it, but it really wasn't sustainable enough. It wasn't good quality enough to sustain itself to keep on going. This was again a massive L, and it's a shame. It's one of those things where you saw a lot of people making videos and making posts that were bragging about this. And
Mhm.
it's like, even the most diehard Star Wars fans that I know really weren't feeling that. They were like, okay, like you could pay all a good chunk of that money that you would spend on the Star Cruiser and go to the actual Lars farm, the actual set of Star Wars Episode 4 with the, in Tatooine. And actually
That's
do
wild.
stay there for vastly cheaper
Yeah,
and get
that's what
authentic Star Wars.
I watched a lot of the influencers and everybody who went there when it opened too, and people were hyping it up. And then I read like disclosures where they were just like, just so you guys know, like this was an abbreviated experience. We were here for like 4 hours or five
Yeah, but that
hours, and
wasn't
they
everybody. I know I forgot the guy's name, but there's a big Star Wars YouTuber that I watched because he went multiple times and I watched all his videos that he documented all this stuff. I can't remember it, but he's a very popular theme park enthusiast, and specifically for Disney, that he goes to like Disney Paris and all this stuff. And he was defending it, and I understand why he was defending it and saying, like, look, there's good stuff here, especially with the actors like really putting in the work to do all this stuff. But the problem is, though, is that it is so restrictive to the common Disney goer. That not everybody's a Disney adult that spends Disney adult money to
yeah,
like, be at the park all the time or to really drop money long experiences. Like, it's a good example of this, and that's very similar. You know who Southern Disney Belle is, right?
yeah,
On Instagram.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
She recently went to that new restaurant that's like almost like 1,000 to 2,000 in total. I forgot the name of the restaurant, but it's like a big high end Disney restaurant. I can't remember the exact spot, but she said there's like, she went there and dropped all that money and like the quality was like mediocre. It was like whack. Like the fact that you spend that much money to go to a place like that, there, you could say that you had the means to do that, but it's not really a bragging point or a means to be proud of when the whole experience was kind of mediocre, was whack. The
Yeah.
food wasn't all that good or whatever else. And I look at it as in the same way. It's like, unless it was truly a great experience that people could visibly see that and visibly get that vibe from it, I don't think it's really a good thing to really be proud of. It's
Yeah.
kind of a shame.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that's what I also follow another guy on YouTube. He's called Mickey Views, and he does like hardcore news updates as far as what's going on with Disney.
Mm.
And they're renovating the Grand Floridian right now,
Oh
which
yeah.
is like it's like
That's the top tier of
yeah,
Disney
it's
stays.
Victorian top tier marble floors and everything. And he's showing how they are demoing out marble floors
Mm.
and putting in like cheap tile and changing
Oh,
the
well, to
paint.
save money.
Yeah. There
Wow.
he's showing how, like, these renovations that they're doing are essentially making the Grand Floridian rooms look like a
Of course.
Marriott room compared to the uniqueness that it had. And he's
Mm.
talking about how, like, Disney's losing that touch where it's like, "Oh, well, this is different, we should be, like, more like, bougie or whatever," and it's like, "Well, no, that's what makes you different. That's why you're
Yeah.
different. That's why it's special."
Yeah.
Like, understand what makes you special and, go above and beyond, and that's what Disney has always been known for, is going
Yeah,
above and
there's
beyond.
still elements of that there. Like when I
It
went, I
is.
stood in the Grand Destino in the Coronado Springs, which is like the higher, newer spot for the Coronado Springs Resort, which is it's not the best hotel in Disney, but it's like moderate, it's like mid there. But their new tower was like high class, and
Oh,
at
I
least it
saw
felt high
videos of
class.
that.
It's really good, to stay. And we were high up, which made it even better because we got a nice, gorgeous view. We were celebrating my dad's birthday there at the time, and we had just this awesome experience just going. Like they have the television screen that says welcome such and such, family and
Yeah.
specific people and stuff. That's cool to do that and such. But so that type of thing is still there. Like even the royal table at the Magic Kingdom, that whole dinner. So I did that. That feels like that type of level of experience and stuff. But
Yeah.
there are things there that you just look at it, especially when you look at it online, where it's like, okay, what happened here? Like, what were the like swerves and the curves, of decision making that made this feel like so out of place in comparison, which is what I feel about the Star Cruiser, with
Mhm.
some of the decisions made with that. It's just really weird and really, again, it's a damn shame to see things turn out the way that it did. And I feel like there's other aspects that could turn out too with that, even with Galaxy's Edge, in some respect. Like I wish that it was just better overall as a Star Wars fan and as a Disney fan in general.
Yeah. No, I agree. And like you said, I went to Disney, and now this trip will probably be like a 2-year gap from the last time I went. I
Hmm.
had a very good time there. I really enjoy Disney personally. I mean, I remember your vlog of when you went there, which
Oh
was
yeah,
an enjoyable vlog to watch too. If you want to go back in the JJ archives, check
yeah.
that
It's like a
bad boy
40-minute
out.
vlog of everything on my trip for like a
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, that was a fun one. And I think you went, I feel like I went a little bit before you did on that trip, and you did not mess around with your Galaxy's Edge experience and
Oh, dude, I did
everything.
everything.
You hit it.
I was in. Like,
Yeah.
literally, I dropped a lot of money as far as like getting the souvenirs because I did the lightsaber stuff. I did the droid. I did the cantina because I wanted to go to the cantina to get the Endor cup, the Battle of Hoth cup, which is
Oh
the
yeah.
the fruity one that I had there, the Yum Nub, it's called, which is
Yeah.
like the fruity drink that they get it. But the cup is like the Battle of Endor on it and stuff. And yeah, just eating all the food, just doing everything to say that I did it. So that way, when I talk about it or I criticize it, I could say, like, look, I did everything. Like, I did everything you could possibly do at Galaxy's Edge and then some, on
Yeah.
top of that.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm definitely excited to get back there and hit it with a little more experience. I think I'm always like anti-spoiler. I think I would have been better off being spoiled and knowing what I was getting into, because I definitely missed out a little bit on certain
I agree.
experiences there. But I
I think
thought
for
Rise of the
experiences, you
Resistance.
got to do that. For experiences, you got to do your homework. You got to see like what's there because I mean, you could see everything that comes out of Rise of the Resistance, but at least you're going to get a quality ride if you go on it and it works.
Oh yeah,
You
that's
know
what
what I mean?
that was what I beeline to, and that was one of the best rides I've ever been on in my life. Was
Mm.
I thought it was sick. I really did, and they do a cool job of, you know what? Rise of Resistance gives me Force Awakens vibes, even though
Yeah,
it's sequel
it's
trilogy.
post Jedi, Last Jedi. I mean,
Yeah,
to dive into that, but still, at least
yeah,
it's something that's interesting and whatnot. But I will tell you though, the Star Tours, the new Star Tours, I did that multiple times. I got every era in
yeah.
that. I did all three eras, which is pretty dope.
Dude, that is sick.
That
I
was so
recently
much
was
fun.
watching a guy who was at Disneyland in Japan,
Yeah.
and he it was so funny because he's just like, I don't know what it is in Japan. He's just like, Star Tours never has a line there. He's like, you just walk on every time. He's like, I don't know if Star Wars isn't as popular over there
No,
or
that's
what.
not true. Star
Yeah,
Wars is very popular in
that's
Japan.
what I thought when he was saying that. That's why I'm like, maybe
Maybe
you're
it's
there
just
on an
that
off
ride
day.
because remember they also got a Galaxy's Edge themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that's why it's weird. It's really fun going and looking at all the different Disney parks around the world and seeing the different things that they have. Because
Mm.
I don't know. My plan is to at least go to Disneyland in California at some
Yeah, I've
point.
never been. I need to go one time because
Yeah,
I had an opportunity to go to one time when I went to PSX and I decided not to because it was the thing that a lot of YouTubers and content creators, when they go to events out there in Anaheim, they'll end up going to Disneyland for like a day or so before they
yeah,
leave, which is it's cool. But if I go to Disneyland, I want to go to Disneyland. You know what I mean? Like I want to be there for like a
yeah,
good couple of days to a week and actually do stuff, which
exactly.
is crazy expensive too. Disneyland, I think Disneyland is probably more expensive than Disney World. Now that I think
Probably.
about it.
It wouldn't surprise me,
Yeah,
especially out in California and everything. And then you
exactly.
got California Adventure there as well.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm hyped for it, man. I'm hyped.
Yeah, I hope you have fun.
I'm hitting all 4 parks. I have it all planned out.
You got a hopper pass or you got a
I have hoppers where I'm gonna do Hollywood Studios and Epcot one day. Then I'm going to do Animal
oh no, I don't
Kingdom.
know if you could do Hollywood Studios and Epcot all at one day. Like there's a lot, dude, on both of them.
Oh, I
Because
know.
if you go to Epcot, you got to do the World Showcase. You got to drink at
Oh,
every
exactly.
you got to go to everywhere.
That's why I'm worried because I have a cantina appointment at Hollywood Studios where it's going to be. Maybe I'm getting my schedule mixed up now
You
that I'm
better double
thinking
check
about it.
and triple check that schedule. That's like because
My
I
wife
when I
knows
did it,
it's
I did one
OT.
park each day like that on all 4 parks like that. But my last day after Animal Kingdom, because I did everything in Animal Kingdom, I went back to Hollywood Studios for Galaxy's Edge again. But for Epcot, you got to do it one day, dude. You got to go to those
Oh,
restaurants.
Epcot's my favorite park, dude. I
Dude, you
love
got to
Epcot.
go all those places because there's not a lot of rides except for like the Guardians of the Galaxy ride and maybe Soaring, and a
Yeah.
few other stuff. But like, really, you're going there for like the food for World Showcase.
Guardians was like on the verge of being done construction the last time I was
Oh,
there.
dude.
The walls were still up, but I could see the ship that they were building out
Dude,
front
you
of
have to
it.
go on it. It's so fun. Dude, when I got there, I got a what is it? The Gloria Stefan song, which totally caught me off guard. It was so funny, like seeing that because it just comes out of nowhere. You don't expect it. It's great. Like so much fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely hyped. I mean, Epcot will forever be like it'll take a lot for
Dude, it's
Epcot to be
food,
beaten as far
food
as my favorite park.
galore, drinks galore. Dude,
Oh
I
yeah.
had pints in Germany at
Yeah.
Epcot. Like because I went to a buffet there for dinner or for lunch actually, and I had pints there of the German beer. Yeah. Dude, that was after going to Japan, having sushi and sake there, going to Mexico later on that day, having tequila, like a lot of tequila in
Oh
Mexico,
yeah.
and then hitting up France and all the other spots in that place and having all those foods and snacks and drinks. It was so much fun.
Yeah, dude. I love hitting Norway and getting the
Oh yeah,
Einstock. I like their stout that they have there. That's
dude.
very good.
In Norway, they have the Frozen ride. I think yeah, it's
Yeah.
the Frozen ride that's there that I
That's
want
a
to do.
cool one too.
Yeah,
That feels very
cute.
classic with the animatronics they have in
Mhm.
there. It's like it's very good.
The
And
only thing I
then
didn't get to do when on my trip was in France is that I didn't get to go on Ratatouille because
same.
Ratatouille kept breaking down for
That
whatever
line
reason.
was off the charts when I was
Yeah,
there, dude.
yeah, because and every time it would break freaking down, which was crazy. Like
Yeah. I'm
I
hoping to hit
wanted to
that.
do it because I at least wanted to go to every country to see it and at least do stuff there. Like with France, I know I went there to get like chocolate stuff because again, it's France, and then Little It or not Little Italy, but Italy to go there because I originally wanted to get Italian food, but like there's just so much food all over the place and everywhere. I couldn't eat in every spot because it's just so filling like
I
that.
had the best play our last night on our last vacation where everyone I was with, they were all waiting in line to get Chinese food, and I was just like, I don't think I want Chinese. It was like pre fireworks,
Mhm.
and what they didn't know, what like right when the fireworks start, dude, it's like all beer stands and everything like are just done, like right when
Yeah.
it starts. So I walked all the way from it's either China or Japan. It was in the top right corner. I think it was
China? Because
I
I
think
know
it was
China's pretty
China.
big.
I think it was China. I wrapped all the way around to Mexico, got the best enchiladas I ever
Oh,
had,
yeah,
bro.
dude. They're
And
great.
I got
Dude,
like
that
a freaking
restaurant down below over there at the restaurant with the temple like
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
That's
dude,
right where I
yeah,
got those.
because there's a bar there with the best, like, tequilas and the
Yeah.
mojitos. So, oh my god, and the
Dude,
enchiladas.
I got a huge beer, enchiladas, and I was walking back and I met back up with them and I was like, "How's the Chinese?" And they were like, "We waited forever for it. They didn't sell any drinks like in there or
Oh,
something." And
dude,
I was just
gotta go
like
to
sitting there with
Mexico.
my
Mexico is where
enchiladas
it's
and my
at.
beer. I was like, "I'm good. Let the fireworks
Dude,
begin."
the
Like,
restaurant there from Mexico, we had an awesome spot because we had it just below the temple inside there. Because number one, that whole atmosphere is amazing in
oh,
that
it's
restaurant
sick.
there. It's
Yeah.
so good. Everybody goes there because of the smell, because of the water and the air and stuff. It just is so good. But the food there is so beautiful. Like, and
Yeah.
the drinks, it's so good. Son, I had so many tequila drinks there. It was amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the enchilada again. I'm absolutely trying to get those again. So,
Oh,
well,
dude, it's amazing. I love that.
It's gonna be a different fireworks show now too because they demoed out that big water show that
Yeah.
they had. People didn't like that, dude. I thought it was a cool
Really? I thought it was
show.
good. Like when
I
they still had it.
Yeah, I thought it was good too, but like apparently like a large amount of guests complained about it because
Mm,
that big circle sat in the middle of the water and
mm.
people didn't like that it sat there all day and you couldn't see, all your sight lines were thrown off because all this stuff was
This sounds
sitting
like
in
a
the middle of
weak
the water.
complaint. Like, will say though, the best fireworks display is still at Magic Kingdom, hands
Yeah.
down. Like, no question. Dude, Magic Kingdom food stuff. I went there because I went for the 50th anniversary. So I got like some snacks there on Main Street, USA. I had the 50th anniversary root beer float there. That was awesome. It comes with like caramel popcorn on it and
Damn.
vanilla ice cream and root beer. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to Magic Kingdom for like it'll be a nighttime visit where it's the very Merry Christmas party. So
Oh, dude, I
what
want to go to Disney on Christmas so
yeah.
bad one year.
So what happens is you pay I think it's like $120 or something. Magic Kingdom closes at 4 o'clock to
Oh yeah,
regular
you get the
guests,
after hours.
and then you get the after hours till 12, and
Yeah.
the park attendance is like considerably lower.
Yeah,
And then
because
they have
not
all
everybody
these
does
free
it.
things and everything.
Dude,
So
it's empty because I see Southern Disney Belle, she does that a lot whenever it's available, and, like, she's just, like, roaming around the park
oh
like crazy,
yeah,
just getting snacks or just, like, going on rides, like, multiple times and stuff. Dude, the snacks there at Main Street USA is, like, God's here.
I
Like,
know.
no, the
I,
candies. So, you know what's even cool too? Like, even downtown Disney, or I call it downtown Disney, but Disney Springs, like
mhm.
that, some of those, like, little cafes there with, like, the different cakes and stuff, but Main Street USA is, like, you feel like a kid, like you're like in the 19 like 30s, 40s, or 50s. Like it's just
Seriously.
so good.
You turn that corner, dude, you walk down the street, you see the castle and everything. You're a kid again. That's what I'm
What?
excited about.
Dude, my because we went with my grandma and we went to the royal table there to celebrate, to celebrate her and everything else. And she's a big Cinderella fan and stuff. So going there and having the person dressed as Cinderella, just having that, and then having dinner in the castle, she was totally thrown back, to being a little kid again. It's an awesome experience, and the food was dope. Like the food, that's the best part about it, is because the food just tasted so good.
Yeah. That's what I'm excited about is we have like extended family going on this trip with us where it's like we're gonna have like a group where it's like my parents weren't there last time, my wife's parents weren't there. We have my wife's grandmom going and stuff like that. So like it'll be fun to see them experience it because I
Mm,
can tell that they're excited about it too. It's gonna
yeah,
be
you're gonna have
hard.
a ball. You're gonna have
It's
a
gonna be
lot of
hard
fun.
moving with the crew, but it'll be all good.
You got to split up and meet up at various times. That's the fun of it. Because when I went, I split up from like some of my family, just like roaming around myself, and then meet back up with them at different times, like for dinner, obviously, or just going on certain rides
Yeah.
running around. Like you have your own time to run around and then come back. That's the best part about it.
Yeah, that's why I know that I didn't get to go on Tower of Terror last time, and I
Oh,
love that
dude,
ride, so I'm
that's
going on it
classic.
this time.
That's classic,
I'm a
man.
Twilight Zone fan too, so
Yeah, that it's still fun to go. The Haunted Mansion too, still classic over
dude,
Hollywood
that's a
Studios.
ride I've never gone on before.
What?
That's top on
The
my
hell's the
list.
matter with you? How have you
Never
not gone
been
on
on it.
this? Come on now. You gotta get with the
Dude,
program.
I used to be afraid of it when I was a kid. I was like,
Really?
yeah, I was like, I
You
don't
would
want to
think
go on
Tower
it.
of Terror you're more afraid of than the
I
Haunted
know,
Mansion.
dude.
Oh my
I don't know
god.
why, but Haunted Mansion is high on my list on this trip. There's a couple rides that I've missed where I'm just like I've been dropping the ball on that
Hmm.
I'm definitely gonna hit
Please
on
tell me
this
you
time.
weren't on Space Mountain at least.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I dropped the ball in Space Mountain because it was the first ride I went on in Magic Kingdom, and I pulled my neck out on it, dude.
Oh geez.
So I had a stiff neck because, dude, that ride freaking jerks you around.
Yeah, it's fun though. It's a
I'm
dark
a
ride
coaster
though.
guy too. Like I love roller coasters. I'll go
Mm.
on any roller coaster that's out there. But Space Mountain catches you by surprise sometimes because it's dark in there,
Yeah,
and
and you're
every
like
so
jerking
often.
around.
But
There's
Tron is
also
going to be
the
open now this time. Tron is
there's
open now.
also the Seven Dwarfs was it ride that I
That's a
went.
sick
That was the first ride
coaster.
I went on in Magic Kingdom, but that's brand new that they have
Yeah,
there. It's
that's a
pretty good.
very cool coaster. And Tron is open
And
now
Tron.
too.
Well, Tron now is brand new because that actually wasn't around when I went because
Yeah.
they still had the fast track and stuff in Epcot, and then they had was it Buzz Lightyear at
Hmm.
Tomorrowland and stuff like different rides like that that are just like a little bit more futuristic or chill, but
Yeah.
still pretty fun though.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna try to hit them all. I'll be posting all over social media while I'm there,
Yes.
trying to fucking. I'm dropping f bombs
You,
here.
you gotta you gotta do you gotta do all the stuff. You gotta get all the snacks. You gotta get all the rides.
I know
You get all the drinks.
it's a lot of pressure going to Disney, man. You got to
Yeah,
plan that. You
this
got to
serious
plan it out.
business. That's serious fun right there. You got to
Yeah,
get and for the love of God, because I didn't do this when I went, and I didn't do it out of time. I didn't get the Mickey pancakes. I was saying to myself, I was supposed to get these Mickey pancakes or the Mickey ice creams, and I didn't get it because I had everything else,
yeah.
like, which is a damn shame.
Your
I need
stomach
to
was
do that for
full.
breakfast. I need those Mickey pancakes, even if I have to just carry it around the park with me.
Yeah, that's what we're staying at Caribbean Beach
Oh,
while we're
nice.
there. So that'll be where we're at. It's gonna have that Skyliner that you can just hop on and
Oh,
everything.
cool.
So I'm excited about it, man. I'm hyped.
Nice.
I'm hyped.
That's dope.
So all right, man. Well, we hit like a zillion things tonight. I
Mhm.
mean, we locked in here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, as we wrap this thing up here, JJ, I mean, if you have any final thoughts, toss them out and let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. Thanks for everybody listening, and checking out the conversation. And make sure you guys show some love to the podcast and show some love to all of us on social media. You guys could find me at Jake James Lugo on Twitter or X. Same thing at Jake James Lugo on TikTok. I'm posting there literally every single day, new videos about games, about Star Wars,
And
about
that's growing.
movies, all
That
types of stuff.
TikTok is growing.
I'm almost close to 2,500 followers, but I want to break 10K at some point because I've been doing a lot. I've been trying to post up like multiple times a day, like 3-4 times a day, almost, brand new content that everybody could check out and follow and watch and stuff. Same thing with YouTube. I've been posting up a lot of videos on YouTube, a lot of gaming stuff, not as many reviews lately because it takes a lot of time to do that. And with me doing all these other different pieces of content, it kind of split my attention and my time like 5 different ways. It's pretty crazy, but I have the new ultimate tier list of Star Wars games for PlayStation platforms that's up right now that everybody could watch. It's like a 40 or so minute video of just straight up every PlayStation Star Wars game ranked on the tier list. I have the Xbox tier list coming very soon, hopefully in the next day or so from the time that you're listening to this. It'll be live on the channel and more videos, of course, because Spider-Man 2 is right around the corner. I'm going to be doing a video about Spider-Man 2 with my impressions, and I'm going to be writing about it for Dot Esports because I'm going to be doing a lot of content with them. I'm also on Threads at Jake James Lugo. You guys can follow me on there. I'm on Patreon, patreon.com/Jake James Lugo, where there's a bunch of exclusive content that I share on there for a very cheap, like $1 or $2 every once in a while, that I put up brand new exclusive content for everybody and early access videos as well. And yeah, and Instagram at Jake James Lugo. I'm on there constantly posting up stuff all the time. Same thing with TikTok and Twitter. So yeah, show some love. Come say hi. Don't be a stranger and be cool.
Yeah. You won't regret it because I'm a JJ follower. I love the one man podcast as well. Like
Yeah.
that's like one man podcast is one of my favorite things you do because sometimes I'll listen to it. I'll be like, how did this dude just sit down with a coffee and talk for like 35 minutes
Yeah,
and
that's
just like
what I
not miss
do
a
it.
beat?
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I do because when I feel like I got something to say, I could just go in and just like really roll with it. Which I got to do an episode of that tomorrow, the day after, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. I don't know if you saw the last one I did about the Bungie stuff and everything else that
oh
was
yeah,
going on.
I
That
listened
was
to it.
that was a conversation that more people needed to have, and a lot of people didn't. A lot of people didn't listen to me, which was a shame because you would think I'm qualified enough to talk about that, in a lot of ways. But I love doing those podcasts. I love doing it when I have a lot to say, which is good.
Yeah, no, I really like listening to that because I definitely was able to learn something from that too, and that was pretty wild that they like turned their comments off or whatever too.
Oh,
With
yeah,
yeah,
that between hiding comments on Twitter and then turning off comments on Facebook. That then it's Bungie. It's like, come on, Bungie. Like, what's the matter with you? Like, listen to your people.
yeah, exactly. But no, that's why I enjoy it is because I'm not able to keep up on as much on gaming news, and it's like if I want to know what's going on, I just tune into that and I know what's going on because you usually hit on pretty much all of it.
Appreciate
So
it.
yeah, I enjoy it. All right, well, guys, it was a long episode tonight, and we had a ton of material, but to me, it was all quality content the entire time.
Mhm.
I really enjoyed
Hopefully
it.
they enjoy it.
We had some good comments in the comment section. It was just a fun show overall. So I know that tomorrow night, Joe, Alfie, and Jack Harvey, IndyCar racer, are going to be on the podcast tomorrow night. So it's a double episode week for Rule the Galaxy podcast. I've been itching for a Jakejames Lugo and Dave Doc episode, and I felt like tonight was the night, and obviously the stars aligned. And
Yeah,
as always, I just enjoy it. So
it's dope.
from me, from Jakejames Lugo, from Rule the Galaxy podcast, until the next time, may the force be with you.